going to be any audio or anything, but as long as you can see the video. Okay, there probably won't be any audio right now.
Pumping myself
But
up.
so
Now you got to be here all day.
As soon as 10 o'clock hits, if you want to start running a song and then quad us up, that's fine. All right. All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you put it in queue, do you hear any audio?
Actually, probably as good a place as any would be a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're fine. Yeah, see, it's a 10. ATV.
No ATV. Yeah, why don't you put some plugs in for us on the radio?
We need to, there's a lot. I'll call Tina about it. No, I'll see you later. See you. There's a lot going on out there. John? She's fine.
Hi. Is it good?
Yep, it's good.
Good. He can't get it downstairs because his Windows Explorer doesn't recognize it.
So what, we're not going to be able to broadcast on TV
He's
now?
downloading Google Chrome, which is what it'll...
So you have somebody from Zito downstairs now?
Tim's down there.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, guys. Hey, Joe.
11, 322.
Oh, gonna be a crazy day.
Crazy day.
Especially when these people can't find any places to park. Hello. Hey.
11, 322.
All right, I can pick you up probably about
311,
20 after 10, 10:30. Okay. All right. I'll grab a chair and you can either come and sit here and watch it free downtown here. And then we'll get to the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pick you up about 10:30 then. Sure. Okay. Now we're still waiting for the TV. That's what happened.
I think you will with Google Chrome.
So Joe, what are you doing yourself now? Painting. Still beating? Oh yeah, still doing all my miscellaneous stuff. Yeah. Painting, roofing, repairing siding. I got to put a deck on next weekend down. We got a bucket truck. Yep. Hey John, this guy's got a bucket truck if you need it.
Matter of fact, yeah. It's in Emporium. It'll take about an hour and a half. I got a dish that sits up on the side of the building. That's our audio. Someday, not next week. I'm off next week, but
If you want it, can you do it? Can you do it? Or you need me to put the brackets on?
no, I have some people with brackets on. I just need somebody to lift them up in the truck and get up there.
Or you can drive it down.
Huh? Show me how to use it.
Takes 5 minutes.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Matter of fact, the guys, yeah.
Even if they're here, they can pick it up and drive it down.
Okay. I'll give you a call when I get back.
Yeah, because it takes about 5 minutes to learn how to run the bucket.
Really?
Throw a switch here, hit the bucket, there's controls in the top. All you do is hit them up, out, in, sideways. Tells you right on the controls what they are. So it's not hard to do. You just hit it, get up there, stand it, there you are. Yeah, if you want to let me know and make arrangements. What you want to look it out and take it out. They charge $10 an hour for it.
ready to go someplace and interview some people, then you can just man the camera from right out there for a while, and you and I can switch up.
Yeah, you guys, I figured I was going to be on the phone, bouncing around all over.
Well, we can do that too. Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Let's do it.
You know my camera ability.
Yeah, I do.
Better than mine.
All you have to do is.
Hey, did you hear that? He says,
Better than mine.
"Hi, Ray. How are you?"
Good. I managed to eat well at the festival last night and not gain a pound.
Hey.
That could have happened.
That's a plus.
Ray, I tried to negotiate that contract about the good-looking girl and bringing the M&Ms and the candy and stuff.
Best we got is Gary Mitchell.
Well, you know, I knew that Aston Jeff was going to do it.
Hell no. It is Clark Pearson, ladies and gentlemen.
Didn't get the wireless to work. Why not? We're fine. Well, and that one microphone cord, these guys can attest to it.
Yeah, it does not. It's puked.
Well, we're set up for ready to go. I am using one of these mic cords as a original microphone.
Have a seat, Jeff.
Yeah, if you want. I have one of your mic cords, though.
I need to.
Okay.
I'll tell you, boy, that's one thing concrete kills me.
I'll just take those.
The other one,
Although I pale to my pains having to listen to Mr. Mecca and what he has gone through in the last 5 years. I had no clue.
He's an amazing individual.
He's still alive.
He is an amazing individual.
Do you happen to know this gentleman in the green suit? In the green shirt? Yeah.
I should know.
He looks very familiar. And he called me by name, and I know.
Ray Bible might know, but Chris now he's walking away, so. Ray, do you need a chair, sir? It's right here. Would you like
He's sitting on his chair. He's sitting on your chair.
I don't need to sit
We
until...
got a special chair for you.
okay, remember we're pretty much live here, so.
No. There you go. That. Imagine having to do that.
Well, particularly the streets weren't paved.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah,
everybody had
cobblestone and yeah.
But the good news about that was the hydrant pressure in St. Mary's was sufficient.
Want to go on?
Looks good.
All right.
I can hear you guys. I'm talking before you're in the mic. I can just hear you.
We didn't say any benefit to say that.
No, I gotta move the staff cart to go take care of the stage, and so I'm like, if I don't do something when I move it to go do something, I'm gonna come back and it's gonna be full. Like,
You want to go on?
to like hold the
I'm
staff
going to go to the
cart.
restroom first, then we'll go on.
So I'll be back here as soon as I can get the stage finished. But yeah, I look on analog, I look on digital. I can hear them driving by. I can hear you guys talking in the background. So I think audio will be good on for it. I'll double check it again when I come back and you guys actually start broadcasting. And,
I'm going to go use the restroom and we're ready to roll.
Okay. I'll hang tight here. No.
Ray Bible's not working today, I can tell. He's not in.
Whatever you're asking for today, Tom.
No. Somebody pull the plugs on.
I'm gonna go take care of that stage and I'll be back, fellas. So far so good. It's rolling.
Hey, Tim, when you come back, if you're not, and you have time, a phone or two, get good handy.
I'll go down and see if I have them. Do you want, actually, you know what, you know what else you can do?
Marlene, I know you probably have me in queue, I hope. We'll be going on here in just a little bit.
Right along the wall, you'll see a bunch of orange wire covers. Not orange. Gray. Or if you just tuck them in and have the gray that clean across. There's a bunch down there. I would grab like 2 of them and then you don't got to worry about it. They can walk right across it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to tuck them in. They'll definitely, those wires will fit in there perfect. And I'll help when I get back.
I'm going to go see if I can grab those.
What's that?
Wire covers.
Oh.
Arriving early, there would be a lot of people sitting alongside.
How are you? What's that?
Maybe 98.9.
Yes, sir.
Going up towards Mike. Parade. Cross over towards St. Mary's.
Gary, you're going to be down on this side.
Okay, no problem. Hey, Johnny.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
You want me to use this one?
Yeah, but you're going to be using a mic too. That's just a headset. That's going to be your microphone.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I don't need the headset. I can just, if I use the microphone, that's fine. As long as someone's there to hear. Well, those are cool.
All right, as soon as Jeff's done with that, we'll
Yeah.
have him point the camera at us, and he's going to go get some special guests.
Okay.
Check.
10-9-8-7.
Mic on?
Yeah. 5-4-3-9-2. 1-2. 1-2. 1-2.
It's not perfect, but at least they can see it.
All right, you want to point the hang around here for the big call us, but yeah, call and then we'll get you hooked up, but you can point the camera at us after we get you hooked up.
Two people that know my ability with a camera, you and Ray. Boy, am I in trouble.
That's why we're starting early.
We'll figure if
Ready for me to call you already?
Probably have to turn them around, Ray. Yep. We'll be live in 2 minutes.
2 minutes, Marlene. 2 minutes.
Looking now, John, why isn't it letting me?
You gotta
What did I not hit?
swipe it,
Swipe it, okay.
then phone.
Am I ringing?
You see that phone there? You gotta press phone.
Oh.
John Soldier.
Okay.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. Here we go then. Let me just see where I'm at here.
on purpose? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Marlene, you can put us up.
How's that picture look?
You can zoom in on it, so as long as you get all three.
Zoom?
The River 98.9, Zito Media Channel 4. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to In Front of City Hall, where today we are set to celebrate the 175th anniversary of St. Mary's, Pennsylvania. We have a crew on hand to call the play-by-play of today's anniversary parade. First, want to welcome Ray Beimel, local historian and photographer, who is going to join us and offer some expertise into our parade and talk a little bit about our history. Ray, good morning.
Good morning, John.
Glad to have you aboard today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Exciting time for St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, of course.
Oh, yes. We have a great and wonderful history, and it's so totally appropriate that we're having big doings to celebrate it. There's so much about us, our story, that's so good that it's the appropriate thing to do. Make a big fuss. We've got a good story.
And on my other side, Gary Mitchell, our morning guy. Gary, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Yeah, usually I am on a Saturday morning, but it's certainly a pleasure to be here downtown St. Mary. Last time we did one of these, John, was the Firemen's Parade that came through here a few years back. Tina and I were sitting here on the Diamond, and we broadcasted the parade on the River 98.9, and also we were streaming then, just the special events then. But now we seem to be doing everything else. Seemed you had a big crowd last night for the opening, and that was a wonderful thing for the Bavarian Fall Fest, and to incorporate Bavarian Fall Fest and the 175th anniversary parade, because as folks have asked, this is the kickoff to the celebration of the anniversary. Ray, official day is
December 8th.
Okay.
That's the founding date of St. Mary's, but which has always been unfortunate because it's in midwinter, and so we never get to have a proper outdoor celebration of the actual day.
All right, and also with us, now running the camera, Jeff Boo. Hi, Jeff. Good morning.
Well, good morning, folks. And I remember the 150th parade from the balcony of the Smith Sports Store building here, which was really cool. I remember being on top of the fire escape, watching the parade with Mrs. Madeline Smith. What a wonderful lady. But I remember those days, and kind of neat because I have camera slides, which are right up there with Camry movies, the 125th parade back in the 1960s. I remember watching those when I was a very young boy, and I hope here to be here for the 200th anniversary. But a big day in St. Mary's today, no doubt. A lot going on, and I'll just be glad if I don't get hit by this dump truck that's about to go by me.
All right, Jeff. Jeff is going to be roaming around during the parade coverage and getting some interviews with people that are visiting here today. Ray, you were at the opening ceremonies last night. Huge crowd.
Yeah, and of course they always use the right bait to get the crowd to come in. Lots of really good food, music, and the companionship of seeing your friends and neighbors, have a chance to talk quietly with them. Most of the days we're so busy going here and there, we just don't get to stand and talk, and the festival is the perfect place for that.
Last night, the Historical Society was recognized by the St. Mary's, the Bavarian Fall Fest Committee, and an organization that obviously truly deserves the recognition.
Well, we were very lucky to get started in recording and sharing St. Mary's history in 1960 through the efforts of Charlie Shout. And, in these the ensuing 40-some years, 50-some years actually now, we've grown from one small room in the old Borough building on Erie Avenue to a big two-story building on Erie Avenue, which houses, thousands of artifacts dealing with St. Mary's and multiple thousands of records of family history, obituaries, clippings, and a massive collection of over 47,000 photographs, all relating to things that happened and people that lived in St. Mary's.
That took place last night, recognizing the Historical Society and also recognized by the St. Mary's Area Chamber of Commerce was Metco Industries for their participation and their efforts in promoting St. Mary's last night. And Gary, I don't know if you saw it, but Paul Fehrenbach had a nice composition.
And boy, there was a huge crowd watching not only the band, but enjoying Bavarian Fall Fest yesterday downtown. They're sort of in the Gunners parking lot. It's a city parking lot, but I always refer to it now as Gunners parking lot. But nevertheless, that was great. And you talked about Metco and Metco Industries, but boy, we have a lot of sponsors to talk about today, don't we, John?
We do. There's so many that have participated in our St. Mary's Day and 175th anniversary, and we'll tell you more about them as our broadcast rolls on. Jeff, the 175th anniversary celebration is highlighted this weekend by the Bavarian Fall Fest, and it's been a big hit so far. Apparently Jeff can't hear me.
Can you hear him? There we go.
Okay, what was that, John? I was distracted by visitors and a few trucks behind me.
I said the Fall Fest is off to a great start this year.
Oh, I was around all day yesterday checking things out, and I was amazed at some of the booths and stuff, some of the awesome things. I got a chance to stop down. There's a new author in town, Eric Wesley, who's down in front of the old B&R Electric. He's got a book out, local contractor. You just don't know the ability of all the folks in St. Mary's. I got a chance to talk to Paula Wyatt, one of the chief cook and bottle washers on the festival. And, of course, my favorite part of it, the food booths. And what a huge, huge crowd for the opening last night, down around the opening, down by the stage in the food booths. And looked like everybody was really happy. And, of course, the best part about this is God has smiled on us with another beautiful day. The sun is out.
We certainly have had a beautiful day.
Sure have.
Mitch, it's supposed to be near 80, I think.
Who is in charge on staff of that for us? Was that you?
Nah,
okay.
Wouldn't have been me. Wouldn't have been me.
John, to me, what this is 8th year for Bavarian Fall Fest, I think, or something like that.
Right.
Do you think because it's the 175th anniversary parade and all of that, they probably have the most booths, the most vendors that they've ever had?
Yeah, the number of vendors, I believe, had to turn some people down just because of space. And Ray, I don't think there's been this many vendors in quite some time.
Well, not since the days of the old Bavarian Festival when we took over the streets and
the Diamond,
shut the
Ray,
traffic off. Of course, we can't do that anymore, but that gave a lot more space.
Boy,
this is good.
The ambiance of that, though, having experienced it, because I've been here since '88, so I sort of experienced it maybe for 5 years, and then it all got moved to the downtown parking lot here. But yeah, we caused some havoc. But boy, it was just so special, and I'm glad the committee brought it back to the Diamond.
Well, that was the wonderful part about that was for 3 days the people of St. Mary's owned the streets of St. Mary's.
Yeah, you're right.
We could walk where normally it would take your life in your hands to step out, and you could walk, you could talk, you could. I watched the pattern. There was a constant set of swirls. People going north and people going south said, "Hey, hi, how you doing?" And then they spun around and talked, and it was just a constant movement of people, and I found that to be very pleasing thing. I know we can't. That's one of those things we can't.
Yeah, mentioned to city management and all that. Yeah. Unfortunately, but it just added. I mean, I maybe whenever the forefathers built the Diamond, so to speak, hopefully they were considering that the Diamond was going to be a meeting place. No, I know that, but that's why I kind of asked the question.
Yeah, it worked out that way, but initially the Diamond was just a triangular piece of land where St. Michael Street crossed St. Mary Street, and then when the railroad came through, that chopped it off. But it was private property up until 1891. There was a meat market, a photography studio for 2 businesses I know were there, and Borough of St. Mary's bought it in 1891, and it's been a public gathering place ever since. It would take a great part of the morning to list all the events that have been held on the Diamond.
All right, Joined here today, Ray Biamel, Gary Mitchell, Jeff Buheit, all along for our broadcast today. And during this celebration, the River 98.9 is teamed up with Farmers National Bank with a big old card. Jeff, can you tell us about that card we have?
And right in front of us, folks, we've got this huge happy anniversary card. We are encouraging everybody that comes to the parade, comes downtown, please take an opportunity to sign that card, because when it's done, we're going to make a very special presentation with that card, with all those signatures on it, folks. We'd like to see that card blocked with ink. We want everybody to sign up, young and old, so that in 25, 50, 100 years, we can look at those signatures and we can say, wow, I remember that. Back to you, John.
All right.
You know, maybe we should have hired him Buheit bodyguards behind you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
The city police are watching over Jeff.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, he should stay right there. The city cops are right behind Jeff right now, because it is busy, because a lot of folks are arriving, of course, for the parade and just a normal Saturday morning. Now, this is going to be being cut off very, very shortly. Just to remind folks that they're going to be directing you around the diamond when you're coming to specifically downtown St. Mary's when the parade starts, which officially gets underway at 11 at Elk County Catholic.
Yeah, and with the one of the things about that is we're going to rely on Ray for as we go along to talk about a little bit more about some of the history. But Ray brought up a good point yesterday. He said, you realize the parade starts at 11, but by the time it gets down here, it's going to be closer to noon probably.
Well, I actually, if I was picking a number in the pool, I would say the first unit's going to go past us at 12:20.
Oh, okay. 12:20. All right.
Wow. Well, you know, a slope parades. They start off pretty good pace, but as they go along, one unit's faster than the other, one unit's slower, gaps come up. They've got some hills in this, which are going to slow down some of the
you're
units.
right, and especially right here.
Yeah. Well, this way, at least they'd be going downhill.
Yeah, that's true, coming this direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to give everybody the parade route.
It is an unusual route that has never been, to the best of my knowledge, ever used in a parade in St. Mary's history. I'm not sure why they chose that way. It certainly maximizes the amount of sitting on the curb space to, for people to spectate. And there's a difference I might note in parades formerly. People stood through the whole parade. In 1946, the Welcome Home celebration, this area here, which of course is in front of the old bank building, was solid. People were standing about 6 deep. And from the photographs I've seen, they were standing about 6 deep everywhere along.
Wow.
Nobody stands to watch the parade anymore.
No, not really. No.
Well, I noticed that there were chairs along the streets on Center Street last evening that had the chairs out, and that brought back memories, because most parades, I always remember the chairs were out the night before.
Yep. Well, it's hard to say. The 1967 parade, 125th anniversary, I have very few memories of. I didn't see the parade because I was in the parade.
There you go.
The worst place to watch a parade is when you're one of the units. So I can't recall what people did. Our Boy Scout troop was marching, and we were told to not march like we meant it. But in the 92 parade, by then chairs had become the norm. I don't know what that says about our ancestors in 1946, but they could stand through a long parade.
I remember that parade. Our broadcast location, 92, was on Brussels Street near the former Hunt Oil Products building. We were placed on a flatbed, had a great view of the parade, and that was quite a long parade, as I recall.
Oh, yes. And I don't have the numbers, but a lot of people have asked me, is this bigger than the 1992 parade? And I don't know, and I've not had a chance to find the figures on that.
But we do have over, 130 participants?
Yeah, that's the number I've heard.
Jeff, do you know? Did you check on that?
Yeah, the last count was 130 units. I had breakfast with my fellow team members from Elkland Search and Rescue. They had a print-off this morning and going over it. They are actually currently up in Elk County Catholic's parking lot putting the lineup together. They started with it last night, mapping it all out. They have a complete lineup, and they will be the ones directing the parade, and also they will be, other than Bubba's the Clown, they're the last ones to be walking in the parade.
All right.
So when we see Oakland, we know we can go home.
When you commented about the route, Ray, just let folks know. A lot of folks thinking it's going to come around the diamond. No, it's going to come across. And Tim Pearson, of course, the city manager, pointed out to us the logic reason. You're going to have the parade actually probably coming together. So at some point, if you send it around the diamond, they would almost be backing up into each other. Is what would happen because they found out, you got 130 units or whatever it's going to be in the parade, and it's you're gonna be crashing into each other. So it's logical.
We'll hope so. Like I said, we've never tried that before.
Yeah. So hopefully they alleviated the problem of what could happen, but we'll have to all wait and see.
Well, there should be plenty of curbside space for anybody who wants to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And just as a programming note to folks, we do have a football game to do on the River 98.9. But what's going to happen there is it's going to be kind of bumping into each other. So at about quarter of or so. On the river, at least, we're going to go away from the parade to the football game, and you'll be able to still watch, of course, at theriver989.com with Ray and John, and I'll be up with Tim, and that's about 10 minutes of 2 or so, because kickoff is at 2 o'clock. And the reason that they have a 2 o'clock football game is there's more activities going on in the city of St. Mary's today. The Sounds of Autumn is scheduled for this evening, 6 o'clock there at Dutch Country Stadium. It seems there is everything going on in all parts of northwestern Pennsylvania this weekend, whether it's Elk, whether it's Cameron County, and if you say there's nothing to do, shame on you.
Yeah, there's so much going on.
But fire police down at the Elk Visitor Center last night to help control traffic. So, there was a whole lot of people in town last night.
Let's not forget bugling season.
Yeah.
Last night at the Dutch Country Stadium, Ray, one of our own, one of the names that when you think about St. Mary's sports figures probably is no doubt near the top, Dan Connors recognized.
Oh, yes, all-pro linebacker for the Oakland Raiders. People have asked me, why are there so many Raider fans here in Steeler country? And I said 2 words, Dan Connors. And, of course, he hasn't played since the 70s. And then I explained he was a local boy, good high school football player, college, and, is the only professional football player to come from this area. And he was very good, all-pro.
Yeah, used to watch him as a kid. It seemed like the Raiders were on every Sunday at 4.
Certainly, and until I got to the area, I had no clue that Dan was obviously from this area, and Dan still has a lot of classmates that wanted to honor him last night, and one of them being John Lovett. I'm out there now at St. Mary's Area School District taking care of policing the things out there, so to speak, and I know Don Stretch Reed, the borough manager there in Emporium in Cameron County. He was a teammate of Dan Connors as well at St. Mary's High, so there's still a lot of folks that certainly know that he played for the Oakland Raiders, and that is why, other than Steeler fans or Buffalo Bill fans, that there's a lot of Oakland fans, such as the Ginevros and other folks that are around town as well.
That's for sure. I think of the names that Dan Connors played with. You think of the likes of Daryl LaMonica.
Right.
And Fred Blitnikoff and those guys.
And coached by John Madden.
John Madden, right. The coach, yeah. I'll bet you there's some stories there to tell.
I'm sure.
Yeah, there surely is, and one of it, to bring it back to St. Mary's, family feuds. You get, I know I've been a Steeler fan ever since I knew what the Steelers were, and my brother Rick has been a Raiders fan ever since he knew what the Raiders were, and to this day, to keep peace when the family gathers, we don't speak about football. And I'm sure we're not the only family who has that dichotomy.
Politics and Steelers and Raiders, right?
Oh my, yeah.
That's
and whenever you get to together with the core of St. Mary's, whenever it comes to nationality, that's good. Politics and sports. That's going to be a big discussion, no doubt about it. but and that's what's beautiful too about the Bavarian Fall Fest. It is celebrating the German heritage of St. Mary's and the heritage overall, and of course the 175th anniversary. There would be nobody still left, or is there?
From
175 years ago?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No,
but there certainly are descendants.
We're getting pretty close with people like Evelyn Chase and Oda Valentine, who's the Grand Marshal of this parade. So we've got some people, centenarians here, over 100 years old, but that only takes them back to just before World War II, World War I.
Working their way through, so hopefully the people are able to get through here, guys. And that's one thing. I'm sure there's contingency plans throughout the city day in case of an emergency, because obviously there's a little bit of traffic downtown.
Yeah, right now at this point, there sure is.
Well, Tim Pearson told us that they're really not shutting down any streets until the parade gets a little closer.
So and we're not near as far as parade time goes. Parade officially is 11. But yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. I never even thought that it wouldn't be till 12:22 that they would. I mean, I knew that it wouldn't be till at least 20 after 11 before we got.
Well, they've got a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, they do.
Got to cross Morris Street, down Lewis Street, and then come east on Center Street, and then turn left, go north on North Michael Street to Parade Street, appropriately enough. Then Parade Street to North St. Mary's, and North St. Mary's to here. And then turning left and being judged on Depot Street.
Yeah, that's where the judging will be done for the 2017 and 175th anniversary parade there on Depot Street, where the judging stand will be, and so there will obviously will be awards hung out. So come down to the downtown, come down and be around the Diamond, and certainly park yourself here, especially for Bavarian Fall Fest. Remember, most of the vendors here around the Diamond are of not the food variety. The food variety is down there on the Gunners parking lot there and the city parking lot there. So certainly come and join us and plant yourself and enjoy an afternoon in the city.
Ray, we talked about, mentioned that Mr. Valentine is the Grand Marshal. Give us a little background on him.
Well, there's a story, and I can't confirm this. Odo's a great storyteller. That in 1913 or 14, at the Elk County Fair, they had an airplane fly in, a Curtiss biplane pusher, and the story is that Mrs. Valentine took an airplane ride while she was pregnant with Odo. And it's a great story. I can't confirm it, unfortunately. But in the 30s, Odo was one of a number of what we call barnstormers, guys who had airplanes. They flew out of primitive grass fields here. They did a certain amount of stunt work and so on. And Odo was notorious for, he is the only person to have flown under the Kinzhou Viaduct. And I talked to him about that. I got to know Odo while he worked with my father, and I knew him in other connections. I asked him, was there room? He said, well, my wingspan was 32 feet, and the distance between the pillars on the Kinzhou Viaduct were 64 feet. So he had plenty of room. And I said, okay. And I said, now the big question for me as a photographer, there is a photograph of him just about to go under the bridge. And I said, how did you make that happen? And he said, I had Tom Ewing, who was a studio photographer here in St. Mary's. I had Tom Ewing fly up in the back seat of Alvin Lombardo's autogyro. And I thought, I had seen pictures and I knew what an autogyro was, and I thought to myself, there's a lot of people in St. Mary's who are mowing their lawn with a vehicle that has more power than that autogyro. And how he got old Tom Ewing with his big, heavy camera, far bigger than anything I've ever used, how he talked him into going up there and doing that was quite an amazing thing. But he's a great character. And he was thought to be, I had the opportunity in '76, we put out a big booklet about aviators in St. Mary's, and I got to interview a lot of them. And guys like Arnold Wolf and Earl Dipple, Tailspin Dip as he was known, and they all said that Odo was the crazy one. Well, of course, Arnie lived to be 102 or 103. Here's Odo, over 100. And they were colorful characters. I asked Tailspin Dip, I said, what happened if you came back to town and it was dark? And he said, I was nothing. I had a cowbell. And I said, Earl, I know a little bit about flying, but I have no idea how one uses a cowbell. He says, it was on a rope. And I would fly low over the field. I'd throw the bell out, and when I heard it ring, I knew I was close enough to land. So, so I asked Odo. I said, well, what did you do if you came back? Did you use a cowbell? He said, oh, no, that was crazy. He said, I would just fly over town till somebody noticed.
Yeah.
Then the fire department would come out and turn the lights on the fire truck on the field.
Airplane guys were crazy, weren't they?
Story. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and we had a number of them here, well,
the show that you did about the old air shows that were happening, and the one where a fake crash happened, and all that went on.
Odo had retired from flying, but he got his license renewed in '76 for the America's Bicentennial, and he put on a variation of a common air show thing called the Flying Farmer. Only he had some of his own variations, and so what it was is he had rented a biplane, a Stearman biplane, and he. The announcer, Carl Malta, was in on it, and he said, we got a special thing going on here. Old Mrs. Valentine has never flown, and this is going to be the one opportunity for her to go up in an airplane. So Larry Wolf, Odo's son-in-law, wheeled Odo out. He was dressed up like an old lady with a babushka and the whole thing, and wheels him out and helps get him into the plane. And the announcer's talking about what a wonderful thing this will be for Mrs. Valentine because she's never flown. And just before the pilot gets in the cockpit, the FAA official, who was in on the joke, called him over. Well, next thing you know, that plane throttles up and goes running down the runway and takes off in a very shaky manner. And doing all kinds of aerobatics. He was doing loops and wingovers and everything, just like someone who had no idea how to control an airplane.
Right.
And then the announcer says, is there anybody here who can help get Mrs. Valentine back down on the ground? And then the Toby Hanna muzzleloaders, clad in buckskins, armed with flintlock rifles, came running out of the crowd. As Odo made a pass, bang, 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 bang. Black powder smoke everywhere. The plane wobbles. It starts to smoke. It disappears behind the big corporate hangar there. And then at that moment, Teddy Glott set off some dynamite. There is this big explosion, and everybody's like, oh, my God.
Wow.
And, of course, if you know the lay of the land at the airport, it goes down lower, so Odo just flew into the hollow there. And everybody's looking. The fire department, they got the fire engine and the rescue truck and the ambulance and their code 3 lights and sirens and horns, and everybody's just watching and watching. Well, oh my God, what happened? And then quietly Odo comes around, on the downwind leg. And of course, people are still a little bit alarmed because those old Stearman biplanes didn't have flaps. So in order to drop their airspeed so they could land, they did what was called side slipping. So, instead of going straight down the runway, they're going sideways and then sideways. Right. And it was great. They did the performance twice, and I had talked to Odo about that. I said, what was it? Was there any danger in that? He said, Teddy Glott set off the dynamite too quick.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing our pregame, I guess, before we get to the parade. And again, it starts at 11 o'clock. And we want to take a moment to recognize Mersen USA. Mersen has sponsored our live broadcast here on the River 98.9 on Channel 4 and also live on the web. And we thank them for doing that. And we'd like to recognize some of the others who have made our broadcast possible throughout the course of the last couple of live coverage of the 175th Anniversary Parade being presented by Mersen USA and broadcast live on Zito Media Channel 4 and the River 98.9.
Hi, this is Kim from Dave's Pro Shop here in St. Mary's. From all of us at Dave's Pro Shop, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we're proud to do business in our hometown.
Hi, this is Darlene from Dee Dee's Bakery. Here at Dee Dee's Bakery, we look forward to many more years serving our hometown. This is Darlene from Dee Dee's Bakery, and we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary.
This is Leah from Al County Real Estate. From all of us at Al County Real Estate, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we are proud to do business in our hometown.
Hi, this is Sean from First Commonwealth Bank. Here in St. Mary's, our people tend to have a certain way of doing things, and values are more ingrained. It's our town, and we're happy to do business here. Happy 175th, St. Mary's, from all of us at First Commonwealth Bank.
This is Gino Pacelli from Nationwide Insurance. This year, we celebrate our 175th anniversary, and we are proud to be part of it. Enjoy the Bavarian Fall Fest and all it has to offer. From all of us at Nationwide Insurance, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary.
Hi, this is Vern Kregel from Kregel Enterprises, located in the Elk Haven Industrial Park in St. Mary's. We are very proud to be a part of this wonderful community, and we wanted to take a second today to recognize St. Mary's on its 175th anniversary. Happy birthday, St. Mary's. Keep going strong.
All right, looks like we have a special guest as we're here. Gary?
Thank you, John. What is your name, young lady?
Hoffman.
Okay, and what's this little sign you have here?
It's for my great papa.
Okay, show it right there at the camera. He's how old?
101.
Wow. Well, I'm sure your great papa loves you doing that for him. Hold it up to the camera again. There we go. Thank you. Have a good time, all right?
That's great. That's great. Great Papa. Back live, we are in front of Farmers National Bank City Council Building, downtown St. Mary's. Our parade coverage continues, brought to you by Mercen USA. Ray Beimel is with us, Gary Mitchell, Jeff Buheit. Jeff, he's trying to see the monitor out there. Make sure you don't have our heads in there yet. Look at the...
Yeah, bring it up, Jeff. There we go. Keep going upwards, buddy. Keep going up.
Keep going up.
There you go. We got the long shot now.
How's that?
That's good.
I've never said I was a photographer, and we got a professional working with us. We can attest to that.
Well, when you work for Salter Communications, you have to be multi-talented.
Hey, I gotta have a face for radio. I have the ability to talk and not take pictures. we got a gentleman walking by that's coming into behind me here, Mr. Tim Pearson, and you know, we are so glad, Tim, for all the help that you have been. Can you go over to the microphone over there with Gary, please? And Tim has done wonders for us today.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. I'm just happy to be here. Around this morning, just got done riding the parade route. Looks like there's a lot of people excited for this thing to start, and I'm just excited to be here, and want to give thanks out to the hundreds of people that have put their time and effort together, because this doesn't happen with one or two people. So,
Tim, I was going to ask you. You know, you've been in the. I hear the parade committee, Fall Fest committee appreciates the time and effort that you took in helping to coordinate everything and making things happen. It's been a process that just didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize the Fall Fest committee starts literally weeks after this thing closes out. They're already prepping for next year. 175th committee's been together for almost 2 years. Decided that I could be part of that and help the city staff put our resources together to do whatever we can do to make this great event for the residents today.
When you were hired as city manager, did they say you will coordinate?
That was the fine print.
That was the fine print that you probably didn't read, right?
It wasn't a detailed playbook. It was a lot of like good luck, and then we just started running.
Good luck. Yeah.
You were up at Elk County Catholic with all of the participants coordinating. What's it look like up there?
So I was up there early this morning, and before I left, even before 8, it was already lining up, and I saw a lot of people. I haven't been back to ECC since. I got close as I was doing the parade route, but it looked pretty busy, so I kind of stayed away. But the intel I got from the police chief, I just talked to him, it's pretty packed up there, and I think they're ready to rock and roll here pretty quick.
And for the city, that's quite a coordination, because I know that you're waiting till as long as you can to close down the streets that are going to be closed.
Yeah, they've done a great job of coordinating with the various areas in town to kind of close it down as we need to try to let as much traffic flow through as possible. And I can tell you, as a guy that just rode the route, it's pretty busy. There's a lot of cars on the road right now, so hopefully they'll get to where they need to be going, and we'll close it down when we need to kind of let the parade through.
Back to the old days of Bavarian Festival right here on the Diamond is the way the traffic kind of looks to me right now.
Absolutely.
And just, if you are driving, listening obviously on the River 98.9, be patient, friends. That's all you have to do. It's just one day. It's just a few hours. Just be patient. The parade's going to come through. Things are going to change here in a couple of minutes, and you'll be able to progress through. Better yet, just stop, right? Just stop. Stop in the middle of the road and, park your car, come up and be a part of the fun.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, as me and you were talking beforehand, as a kid, I remember when we shut this place down for the Fall Fest all weekend.
Yeah.
I have no idea how we could do that today.
Yeah,
to literally shut it down for the whole weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you route traffic around today.
Tim,
the
other thing I noticed, even last night, coming through some of the side streets, the chairs were already lined up. Spots were taken.
Yep, spots were taken. I was amazed as I was driving around last night as well. I'm like, people are already marking their spot.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, as I went around right now, it's pretty well marked.
Yeah.
If you don't got a spot, you need to get down now and start trying to find a place, because people got their area marked.
John, it amazes me about our city manager here. He has multi-talents. Even knows about technical things inside this building behind us.
Tim and I had a ball yesterday trying different things. Yeah, we knocked out about 8 hours probably.
Yeah, me and John went through multiple configurations, and what's interesting is part of my staff that helped me do a lot of the wiring earlier in the week, they'll be disappointed to know that I didn't use a lot of it. Like, I think we were on iteration 4 or 5 or 6, I forget, and we changed it up at the very last minute. So
I saw the email that was sent to you from Travis Skripek, who works here. He said, John, everything's okay.
Yeah. And everything is, and thanks to the city for accommodating us with the power and internet that we needed to get the broadcast on. Happy to be here and to do that, and we just hope it's going to be a great parade, and I can't see what's going to stop it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm just excited. Kudos to 98.9 and the rest of the media. I love working with the media. I think we got a great story to tell here in St. Mary's, and the media's been awesome for us to help push that story of why it's cool to live here in St. Mary's.
Tim Cotter here, ladies and gentlemen.
Tim Cotter.
Trying to sneak by.
And Tim Pearson, what a better place for Jeff Buhheit than right out there, right?
Yeah. Jeff is the voice behind the scenes right now.
I'm just trying to stay out of traffic.
Well, weren't you the kid that used to run through traffic? By the way, you were talking about the balcony before watching the last parade. There's a dog in your spot right now. There's a big dog just watching the parade from here.
Yeah, I can't imagine having that big dog. I had my overweight diesel up and I've played with him for 4 years. That was a long shot at 6 o'clock every morning. And having that big dog, good luck, Andrew.
Well, Tim, now you probably have to get places. Hopefully you'll check back with us periodically, give us an update of where we are in the route. And
I will do that. I appreciate that. I'll be on the radio here with Chief and trying to make sure the judges are set. That's the next big challenge, is making sure we get those 9 judges to the judges' stand. But yeah, we're excited to start getting it rolling. I'm excited to start seeing floats come by.
Very good. Tim Pearson, our city manager, joining us here in our
Thanks. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
You too. Here at the parade route, and we're back with our pregame show, and everything seems to be going well. Thanks for joining us on Zito Media Channel 4 on the River 98.9 and streaming live on our YouTube channel. And if you're having trouble finding that, just go to YouTube and search The River 98.9, and that'll take you there to our live broadcast here today. Ray Bible again is joining us. Ray, you gave a short presentation last night at the beginning of the opening ceremonies about St. Mary's. It's beginning. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that? Well, the central theme of St. Mary's has always been from the beginning the faith the people had in their we'll call it their thing. St. Mary's wasn't founded by some rich guy opening the factory, or the fact there were coal mines, or any of that stuff. People in St. Mary's that started the place had a dream of having a German Catholic colony away from the English and the Protestants. And so they came here to what was one of the wildest, least developed parts of the whole state of Pennsylvania. And of course, it didn't work out well. They realized they're going to be pretty poor, and so they said, well, we'll change the dream a little bit. We'll get the railroad to come here. We'll give up we'll start speaking English, some of us. And so along the way, but it was always our thing. Whatever's here in St. Mary's, this is what makes us a unique community. We built all this stuff ourselves. We have upwards of 40 manufacturing establishments in St. Mary's, and with two exceptions, every single one of them, big or small, was started by a guy from St. Mary's. And I have never found another community with anything like that. Even though the big factories are owned by the Chinese, the Germans, the Japanese, and so on, they were started by a guy from St. Mary's. And none of our industries are dependent on natural resources. We got out of coal mining, we got out of lumbering when the trees were gone. And all we need now is somebody else's metal powders, somebody else's petroleum coke. And we take that stuff, which is essentially valueless, and we turn it into things of great value. St. Mary's is really, manufacturing is into value added. Like in the carbon business, we take useless, essentially useless coal tar pitch and petroleum coke and stuff, and turn that into things that people will pay thousands of dollars for. And St. Mary's parts are everywhere. If all of the items made in St. Mary's suddenly disappeared, half the cars on the road would come to a halt, and most of the jet airplanes would fall out of the sky. Our products, which you can't really see, we only make two consumer products here, light bulbs and beer, but our products are everywhere. They're in your house, they're in your refrigerator, they're in your car. They are in the sockets of the lamps throughout your house. And point of local pride, we have become the only place in the United States where LED light bulbs, and that is the top of the mountain in terms of lighting, we're the only place in the United States who can make an LED light bulb for consumer use.
That's incredible.
Oh, we have, and we could use up the whole time of the parade just talking about the contributions that our industries have made, both locally and nationally. It's been a delight being involved with the St. Mary's story since 1972, because it never ends, and I learn something new about this town every single day.
And you're a great asset to have with us here today as we celebrate St. Mary's 175th anniversary and get on with the parade. It actually starts at 11 o'clock this morning, and we have your wager is
12:20.
12:20. I'm going to say 12.
And I'm going to say 12:15.
12:15. So we have a 12. All right.
Okay.
What's the over/under here?
Ray, as far as the Historical Society goes, can you let folks know hours-wise and things like that?
Okay, normally the Historical Society is open on Tuesdays from 10 until 4, Thursdays 1 until 4, and then 6 until 8. And if we have people coming from out of town that'll be here on the weekend, if they call me or one of the other directors, if at all possible, we're happy to open up the place. People find the amount of information we have on their families and so on to be just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
We get people coming. People come away from as far as the state of Washington and everywhere else, and they just open up the files, and we get. We share the information, because it doesn't do any good if we can't have all that stuff. We have to share it.
And let me highly suggest, especially to locals, it's absolutely incredible. Having toured, not recently, but within the last 5 years or so, the little museum in Sterling Run is an example. I want to say, if you don't tour your local exhibits, for lack of better words, you're missing out. And the Historical Society is another case. Go there, find out, and see what's going on with the city of St. Mary's, because you're certainly going to learn something. There's no doubt about it. It's just Ray's been doing it for how many years, and he learns something every day.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going out there? You're starting to fill up. He's having trouble hearing us. If you can hear us now, I just mentioned you're starting to fill up crowd-wise right around the camera.
You want to put the kids on the camera.
All right. 175th anniversary parade is where we are at. We're going to take a little break and come back and talk more about the history of St. Mary's and also about the parade itself. And that's coming up next, courtesy of Merced USA on the River 98.9, Zito Media, Channel 4.
This is Aaron from Burke's Home Center. The city may have lots of opportunities and excitement, but small town life is far superior in a number of ways. In St. Mary's, we have so many unique traditions, including our own Bavarian Fall Fest, and this year is extra special as we celebrate our town's anniversary. From all of us at Burke's Home Center, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we're proud to do business in our hometown.
This is Steve from Save-A-Lot. We've been proud to do business in our town since 2009. We're proud of our people, our parks, our churches, and the opportunities that we have.
Live coverage of the 175th anniversary parade being presented by Merced USA and broadcast live on Zito Media Channel 4 and the River 98.9.
Hi, this is Kim from Dave's Pro Shop here in St. Mary's. From all of us at Dave's Pro Shop, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we're proud to do business in our hometown.
Hi, this is Darlene from Dee Dee's Bakery. Here at Dee Dee's Bakery, we look forward to many more years serving our hometown. This is Darlene from Dee Dee's Bakery, and we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary.
This is Leah from Al County Real Estate. From all of us at Al County Real Estate, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we are proud to do business in our hometown.
Live coverage of the 175th anniversary parade being presented by Merced USA and broadcast live on Zito Media Channel 4 and the River 98.9. All right, we are back live at the 175th anniversary celebration. We're going to switch some roles here. Jeff Buchheit comes in from the camera, and what's that?
Do I have the right microphone?
You do have the right microphone, yes.
We got a lot of wires set up here, folks, and there's been a lot of preparation for this festival. And John, my hat's off to you because, the last couple of days, I've watched you untangle more wires than anybody in my entire life.
It's been a challenge.
It's been a challenge. But it's the beauty of St. Mary's is because, John, just like you, so many great folks take the challenge on every day to make this town tremendous. I mean, there's so much to be proud of in this town. The heritage, the culture, the people, how hard they work and to make things like this happen. But it's, in St. Mary's, yeah, this parade these days are a big deal, but we work so hard that a lot of people say, well, that's just the way St. Mary's is.
And Ray, you talked a little about it last night. It's not the weather that keeps us here, is it?
No, it's people. How did we end up with so much, starting from so little? And a lot of it has to do with family. There was a list of families made in 1846. The town was just not even 4 years old. And almost half of those families that were here in 46 are still here today. And my I'm the fifth generation of Bimels that have lived in St. Mary's, and there's three more past me. So, you've got a town where 8 generations have lived in the same town. And we're not unusual. There's many more like that. And the people who came here after the old Germans, the Slovenians, the Croatians, and the Italians, it's pretty much the same way with them. Sure, a lot of the kids will go elsewhere because we have a limited number of career opportunities, but somebody always stays behind. And very few cases does the whole family leave. And so, we're tied up with a sense of community. We belong together. We know each other. We're comfortable with each other and all of our quirks and characteristics, and it remains a good place to stay. And besides, here, a hurricane is nothing but a thunderstorm with a name.
Isn't that the truth?
Yep.
Of course, then there's nor'easters that they probably watch down south. And
well, the thing is, I have friends who live in the south, and they say, oh, the snow, the cold. I said, well, cold is the easiest environmental hazard to solve. We invented fire, a few years ago. There's a lot of ways to stay warm. And I said, for you guys, like in Atlanta, where, 2 snowflakes pile up and the city is paralyzed, I said in St. Mary's, every house has a snow shovel, every 3rd house has a snow thrower, and every 5th house has a snow plow.
Yeah, I remember one of the big snowstorms in Atlanta. They said, Mr. Mayor, weren't you prepared? He goes, well, we've got $1 million worth of equipment on the road. And I went, $1 million in snow equipment? That's not even a couple of trucks.
Right. It's a matter of being
yeah.
prepared, and we are well prepared to deal with snow here. It's funny, we never thought too much about it until we started getting our weather information from the Weather Channel, which is based in Atlanta. And, big snowstorm coming, so what? Nobody bothered. But now that we're listening to those guys, we're out there buying bread, toilet paper, and, milk just like everybody else. But there has never been, I've lived through some of the biggest storms we've had here. There's never been a day when the bread truck and the milk truck didn't stock up the markets.
Yeah, Jim Centauri doesn't come visit us all the time.
No.
If we see him, then we know to collect bread and things like that.
Yep.
Like that Facebook post recently, John, you and I talked about. But and the other thing with St. Mary's is we really do truly have 4 seasons. Sometimes they get a little bit blurred, but we have the variety. And of course, my favorite time of the year is coming up the fall when the leaves are changing. And we got the cool nights and the warm afternoons, and the people are getting out in the woods for hunting, walking, just hiking, just spending time. And it's really a huge part of our culture. And of course, I had mentioned before about our Elk Visitor Center down there. They get so many people coming in right now that they have to have fire police to control them. What a neat thing they built down there.
Yeah, it sure is, and a nice extension to the PA Wilds theme, which has become the norm around here over the past several years. And Ray, we talked, I know, several times before. The St. Mary's is like any community, has had its ups and downs, and it's just interesting, like nowadays, that our population in the county has decreased substantially, but the number of opportunities for employment here remains very high.
Oh yeah, we're very different than most central Pennsylvania towns, with the exception of State College, of course. We have jobs. If a healthy, reasonably intelligent young man came up to me and said, hey, I'm looking for a job, I said, get in a car, and within 2 hours I'd have him hired.
Yeah.
Our factories here are very busy. A lot of them, they have the curse of mandatory overtime, and a lot. I know a lot of the factory owners and managers and HR people, and there are jobs here. And all you got to do is just get up in the morning and go to work.
That's for sure.
I've actually had 2 job shadowers that were with me that both got hired while they were job shadowing me at some of the locations I go to work with advertising. And you know what I do? Because I've been in and out of different various businesses day in, day out. It's exactly what you said. There are jobs here. If you want to work in St. Mary's, there is a place. Maybe it's not going to be a $20 an hour job with full benefits, but there are certainly jobs, and they're fun jobs. They're good jobs. It's just got to have a willingness to work, and that's one of the things St. Mary's, as I said before, the work ethic is pretty tremendous.
Well, it's the work ethic is something that's been embedded with us for years.
Indeed. The only way this place could work when they first settled here was a tremendous amount of labor. The place was covered with trees, and the intention was that in the beginning they would be subsistence farmers. I can't imagine the amount of labor it takes. Cut down the trees and then remove the stumps. Remove the stumps and then, flatten the land and make it ready for planting. that had to be a dawn to dusk piece of work every day for the people who found it here. And that's hung with us. I've had the opportunity to talk to industrialists from other countries, other companies, and after dealing with St. Mary's, they always speak of that work ethic where, people know what they do, they know how to do it, and they come and do it every day.
And we just got word from Tim Pearson that the parade is it has started now. It may take a little bit for it to wind down this way, but Tim said the parade is on its way towards the downtown St. Mary's. So, and when of course it does, we'll turn that camera around and see that, get our faces off and get those great floats and fire trucks up there.
Well, our bet to get down here is 12 noon here, 12:15, and Ray's sticking with his 12:30.
12:20.
12. Oh, you moved it. Oh,
no, it's always 12:20.
Okay. All right. And Gary, if you could, maybe turn around to get the camera around, and we can take a look at the crowd that has come around here. And that's, of course, in front of the bank building there. And but we're pretty well lined up a couple deep, almost all the way around the diamond area here, and of course all along the parade route. What a beautiful sight that is, Ray.
We don't have a lot, like Brockway has a parade every year, and Ridgeway has a parade every year. We don't have parades very often in St. Mary's, sometimes less than one every 10 years. But when we do, the folks surely enjoy it.
Yeah, and this one will be one.
Yep.
This is one for the record books. There's no doubt about it. Like I had said earlier, my team members, Elkland Search and Rescue, they had their job cut out. They were lining the folks up, getting them into position. But, the thing about it, they had so many units that they had no place. They had to find a place to put the people that were dropping off the participants.
Wow.
So, it was a real challenge to them. But, we're so lucky. We said about the work ethic of all the EMS and the QRS responders we have in this area. Elkland, of course, the fire department, the ambulance, the police. And so many of those folks, particularly they're volunteers. And it doesn't matter 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, leaving work. They are out there protecting us and taking care of us. And that is huge. And I believe we got Tim Pearson back with us.
No, I just wanted to give you guys the update. I did confirm they have turned on Center Street, so the parade is on its way down Center Street right now.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tim. And everything going smooth as it should.
So far, so good.
No wood to knock on here, so we're going to count on that. All right, so the parade is underway, and we'll be heading our way in a while. Tim, we have a bet that it's to race. Jeff said it'll be here by
12:15.
I said noon, and Ray, the pessimist that he is 12:20.
Well, then I'll be the optimist and go 11:45.
11:45 for Tim. All right, we'll see that. Okay, we'll see if we can get up a 175th T-shirt for the winner of the odds. All right, great, Tim. Thank you very much.
If you lose the bet, what's the bet here? Who's going to have to go out and dance in the street?
Maybe. Maybe.
But it's living here all my life as you folks have it. I am just so proud to see this in St. Mary's. This is just what a wonderful, wonderful day to see. And I certainly hope I'm around to see when it becomes 200 years. But this is just, this is fabulous. It's fabulous to see the people taking the pride and seeing how wonderful of an area we have.
And we do. We take it for granted.
I think we do. It's great. I tell you, after being gone for 20 years with the Air Force, it's phenomenal to come home, and I'm excited every day to be here. There's so many cool things going on, and today's just like the tip of the iceberg of what you see. But it's a great day to be down here. I will make one shout out because I'm looking at it right now, but just a reminder, if you haven't come down and signed the birthday card put together by 98.9 and Farmers National Bank, it's right down here. I see a lot of white space, so sign the card.
We need to fill that up before the end of the parade, end of the weekend. It's going to be here throughout the parade, and then we're going to be taking it down to the Fall Fest. It's going to be located near the Fall Fest booth, so they'll have Sharpies down there for you to get it signed, and then we'll give it to Ray for the Historical Society.
That's awesome.
All right. Thanks, Tim, for the update.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
I'll be back.
All right. Tim Pearson, our city manager, keeping us up to date. The parade is underway. We're looking forward to having it come down our way, and that'll be coming up real soon. Meanwhile, Ray Beimel is with us, along with Jeff Buhite, Gary Mitchell, and we're broadcasting it from Farmers National Bank in the city building in downtown St. Mary's, and we'll be swinging the camera to the parade when it comes around, broadcasting on Zito Media Channel 4. Got the audio on the River 98.9, and we're streaming live on our YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube, the River 98.9 here today. Ray, we haven't, our community has had some, downsides too. One of your programs on Ray Beimel Remembers, you talked about a flu that really, was devastating.
The most deadly epidemic in human history was the Spanish influenza outbreak of 1918. It affected pretty much every corner of the world. It's called the Spanish flu, but some people suggest it started in Russia. It spread through war-torn Europe, and of course the wounded soldiers brought the virus back to the United States. It spread rapidly. In St. Mary's, it seemed to strike particularly hard. In just 6 weeks, 116 people died in St. Mary's, when nowadays, in an entire year, maybe 150 do. So it struck hard, and even though we knew it was coming, you read the papers of the time, and it says, just do what your doctor tells you and you'll be okay. Well, what they didn't understand is that this was a strain of flu that was different from anything we've experienced. It attacked healthy people more than it did the infants and the elderly. And what it did, we've discovered, it kind of supercharged the body's immune system, and so a lot of people developed pneumonia. Very few people died from the flu. They got the flu, and it developed into pneumonia. And so it was a dark day. They closed the schools, they closed the stores, except the drugstores. Ultimately, they closed the churches. Everybody was in quarantine. Our doctors were sick. We had no hospital. The Elks Club, their new building, their present building, that was turned into an emergency hospital. If you had no one to care for you, they brought you in. And it was an amazing thing. People volunteered to take care of the sick. We don't ask for that kind of volunteering anymore, but you're going to go into a building full of sick people from the worst disease ever to hit humanity, and these weren't nurses or doctors. These were businessmen, bank tellers, lawyers, and they took care of the sick. And of course, that was the impetus for us to get a hospital here a few years later.
Well, while you just brought that up, that's another interesting point of St. Mary's, and a nice story, a fun story about how the hospital came about.
Well, the Knights of Columbus started to drive the idea of getting a hospital, and we're a little hazy on the details, but ultimately the three daughters of Andrew Call, Bertha, Josephine, and Julia, each donated $40,000 to refurbish the old Benedictine monastery and turn it into a hospital. And it was opened in April of 1922, and of course it was named after their father.
Which, and I'll point out, $40,000 then is not, that's a lot of money.
Oh, yes. And so the hospital opened in 22, and of course it was not initially successful because people didn't really trust hospitals. People took care of their own sick. And in 1933, the board of directors said, offered the sisters, Benedictine sisters at St. Joseph's Convent, the opportunity to operate the hospital. And the sisters had some nuns trained in health care, and they took over. And within a year, the hospital was full. People trusted the nuns, and that's what made the hospital successful. And then, of course, tragedy struck in 1934, late November. The hospital burned. And it was full. There were 40 patients, six children, 34 adults. All were saved. The building couldn't be saved. There was just not enough water to put the fire out. But the sisters took their academy building and turned that into Andrew Call Memorial Hospital. It closed that wonderful girls' school they had, but they sacrificed the girls' school so that the rest of us could have a hospital until the other one could be rebuilt. And here's the thing. It cost $300,000 to rebuild it and add the wings on either side. Half of that money came from the sisters themselves.
Wow. Wow.
And again, you have to remember the value, when you're talking that kind of money. It's, now, it would cost millions to do that same thing.
And this was in the Depression. This was the hospital burned into this. And so, and the sisters, in 1938, they took over ownership complete, and for 40 years, the good Benedictine sisters ran our hospital.
And of course, we talk about the Depression, and when I was at Smith's Sports Store, I asked Mr. Ginter, because the Smiths actually started in 1928, and I asked him one time, how did Ray Smith survive, the Depression days? And he said, well, he did, and I remember my dad telling me he would sell instead of a box of shells, selling one shell at a time so people could continue to hunt and go hunting and feed the family. But the interesting was, he said Ray Smith really never got over the Depression. He always saved his money because, and that left that fear in our older people that someday this was going to happen again, and they had to kind of squirrel it away to survive.
I think many felt like that, didn't they, Ray?
Well, the thing about the Depression is, it was a bad time. Business slowed down. But in St. Mary's, it was never as bad as it was in so many other parts of the country for a couple of reasons. One of the real bad things of the Depression was bank failures. And then there was foreclosures. People lost their homes, lost their farms. The three banks in St. Mary's did not fail. The other thing is, of course, we were used to being self-reliant. Everybody had a garden, everybody had family with a farm, so that burden didn't fall as heavily. And the third one was, people forget, we were at the cutting edge of technology back then. Stackpole Carbon was actually hiring in 1933.
Well, like you said, we were in the cutting edge, and and I don't think a lot of people realize is some of the things that have come out of St. Mary's. And I always say, of course, I'm part of the National Wild Turkey Federation, a big organization, multi-million-dollar, multi-country organization, and it started right in Elk and Clearfield County. Anybody that's an archery hunter, because of course that's one of my big loves, the first mechanical broadhead, which of course now it's the standard everybody uses, was put together by somebody from St. Mary's. And these are just a couple of the little things that I know, Ray.
The St. Mary's craftsmanship initially in wood is tremendous. We made beautiful, wonderful things out of wood. And as, business changed, we became experts in dealing with metal. And, when it comes to precision machining, tool and die making, fabricating, wood carving, any of these mechanical skills, you will find incredible experts in that stuff in St. Mary's. And we take it for granted because, everybody's got a sister or a brother who's a tool and die maker or something. But we have abilities here in dealing with machinery and mechanical things that far above anywhere else. And that's one of the reasons that Leadvance was able to make LED light bulbs a success here, because our guys know how to make and operate the incredible machinery that makes the bulbs. We are good with robots, just like we were good with wood when we built St. Mary's Church.
And I do see on the upper end of the diamond, on the upper end, the serviceman's detail, I do see some of the vehicles that are definitely going by on the upper end. Now it will go up it'll go up North Michael and over Parade and then back down. It will come down North St. Mary's down in front of us here. It's going to be going up near Vito's Hoagie House. And this is the other thing, and I mentioned Vito's, they're one of our sponsors, but that's the kind of business that's, again, generation after generation after generation. Quite neat.
Yeah, we have, for a business to be in the third or fourth or even the fifth generation, two that come to mind is Straw Brewery and St. Mary's Carbon Company. They have, particularly Straub's, because they go back to the 1870s. all these years later, there is still a blood descendant of old Peter Straub is the president of the brewery. That long continuity that we have here, that's one of our strengths.
Let's talk a little bit about some of these businesses from the past. I think it'd be fun. I know that we had talked on several of your shows, but I'll bring up one and then you can comment if you will. One of the things that I remember is Rolex.
Yeah, at one time we had 3 of what we would call soda fountains in downtown St. Mary's. There was Rolex on Brussels Street, there was Gorman's on Railroad Street, and there was Dimitri's, later Lucanix, at the corner of Center and North St. Mary's. And they were all slightly different, but it was a place to... Gorman's was more of a dairy store. That's where you went for milkshakes, ice cream, and sundaes. Rolex was kind of a short order restaurant. When I was a paper boy, every Saturday, was in town early to pay my bill there. We all went over to Rolex and had a hamburger and fries and a Coke. Dimitri's, and then Lucanix was known for their special ice cream treat called the Mexican Mountain. It was kind of an inverted ice cream cone, coated in chocolate and then embedded with peanuts. And anybody who's 60 or over, who spent any time in downtown St. Mary's would remember those 3 places. All good, very, and this was back, good food, fairly quick, not fast, but fairly quick, and it was all owned by local people. And that's one of the things, and of course this is true all over the country, local ownership becomes less of a thing. But in St. Mary's, we're still blessed with, a lot of our shops, our restaurants are owned by local people.
Well, you mentioned about the businesses, and of course I mentioned the store that I had, Smith's, was started in 1923 by Ray Smith with World War I surplus. And then he got into major household appliances. He had the first refrigerators in town, and when he did that, he had to hire someone by the name of Bob Gimter, who eventually married the boss's daughter, and then Bob ran the store for a while, and of course I purchased it from them. And times did change, but that store was around for 80-some years, and there's a lot of retail stores that are, Lesser's Jewelers. There's just been a whole lot with Tom Lesser. I think, what generation is he, 3rd or 4th?
He's a 3rd. L.L. Lesser was his grandfather, and Paul Lesser was his dad, and now Tom. So you got 3 generations. And, of course, Tom's was the kind of business that usually was badly affected by Walmart. And he said, I changed from being a retail business into a service business. And now he is, if you see on his little sports car, the vanity license plate says Clock Doc. And so he fixes watches and clocks, everything from little tiny ladies' jewel-like watches up to big grandfather clocks.
And that's what it takes to be in business, to adjust. And we go through it here with our radio station, in the fact that now when we're broadcasting, we're the radio 98.9, but we're also the internet. We're on TV. We're doing so many different variables now, because that's what really the future is.
It's funny, you talked about, the transition from radio to the other media, and I was thinking about, old WKBI, thinking, how much Johnny Knorr would have enjoyed doing what we're doing here today.
Oh, I can't tell you, Ray, because back in the day when I first began the career, we didn't broadcast live. We did a rebroadcast of the Memorial Day Parade, and one of my first assignments was to tag along with Johnny and comment, on the parade route. And we walked up and down the street. We had a little cassette recorder with one of the little microphones that came there, and did the complete broadcast of the parade there. But Johnny loved what he did. He loved being on the air, and was very good at it too. I might add. And he was one of the very few people, if you remember back then, because I remember the entire schedule. I was so, interested in the business as a young guy. Johnny worked on the air in the morning from 6 until 10 o'clock in the morning, the Johnny North Show. And then he was, the general manager, so he did general manager duties from 10 a.m. into 3:30. And then he did an afternoon show from 3:30 until 5:30 in the afternoon, at which time we gave way to Gibby Hoffman in the Straub Sports Parade at that time. But I remember him. He passed way too soon. Extremely talented, loved what he did. But he would, you're right, he would have loved being here.
I'm thinking back to those days, and I know I'm not going to remember the song, but maybe you remember it. He signed off his afternoon program with the same song every day, and I wish I could remember the name of it.
Remember, tomorrow, don't forget to smile.
That's it.
While your heart is aching.
Oh,
smile.
yes.
Oh,
my goodness. Yes, you.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's funny you mentioned the Gibby Hoffman because, my dad was one, come supper time, the TV went off, the radio went off. But the sports show, Gibby Hoffman, Straub Sports Parade, that didn't go off because he wanted to listen to that.
Oh, yeah. That was a mainstay on the station there for many, many, many years. And Denny Pastorero actually has a copy of the final Straub Sports Parade that actually, I shouldn't say never aired, but it never aired until we rebroadcast it on the 50th anniversary of the station.
Of course, now we have Gary Mitchell doing the River Sports, and he's almost as famous as Gibby, but we're working on it.
Well, what Gary Mitchell needs is a Bob Lupton to be, his sidekick during broadcasting games and so on.
It's got a Timmy Cotter. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Guys my age always remember Bob. Gibby would say something, and Bob would say, "Right you are, Gib."
That was
right,
great.
You are, Ray.
And I have to. That brings up another story of it, and it's about early St. Mary's, and Ray will remember all of these places. But the story was that a salesman came to town in St. Mary's and went back Erie Avenue and checked into the Mullandine Hotel. And the guy that checked him in was Rocky Fleming. And Rocky was the cleaner-upper, the type of guy at the radio station for many years. And he also did a lot of other things, including being part of the Mullandine Hotel. Well, the salesman checked in, Rocky checked him in, and a little bit later the salesman came back down and went walking through the hall, and the radio station was located inside the Mullandine Hotel at the beginning, and by gosh, there was Rocky in the radio station working at the radio station. So the salesman then later on that evening went up to the theater to see a movie, and who took the tickets up there but Rocky Fleming. He said, "Are you the only person that lives in this town?"
Well, Rocky used to say about himself. He said, "I've never worked a day in my life. All of his jobs were night shift."
Yeah. Oh, he was a great guy. Yeah.
Well, he goes back to that time. How things have changed. Back in the 50s, if you needed police, you called the number and it rang at the desk of the Mullandine Hotel. Rocky Fleming would answer that. And to let the police know they were needed, he would throw a switch that turned on a red light on a telephone pole at the corner of Lafayette and Erie Avenue. And as the cop wandered around on foot, not in the car, he would see the red light, and so then he would walk back to the hotel. "Hey, Rocky, what's up?" Compare that today with, the 911 911 dispatching.
And Rocky, if you didn't know him, was came off as a little rough, gruff.
Yeah.
He didn't. He always had something to say, but a gentle man. All in the same. Yeah. All right, we're going to continue our coverage here. As you can see, the parade is actually underway, and it's moving up North St. Mary Street, and will be making its way down here. That's when we'll give you complete coverage, and until then, we're having fun sharing memories as we celebrate St. Mary's 175th anniversary. Presented by Mercen USA, and live on Zito Media Channel 4, The River 98.9, and on our River YouTube channel, The River 98.9. More coverage coming up. Live coverage of the 175th Anniversary Parade, being presented by Mercen USA
and broadcast live on Zito Media Channel 4 and The River 98.9.
Hi, this is Kim from Dave's Pro Shop here in St. Mary's. From all of us at Dave's Pro Shop, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we're proud to do business in our hometown.
Hi, this is Darlene from Dee Dee's Bakery. Here at Dee Dee's Bakery, we look forward to many more years serving our hometown. This is Darlene from Dee Dee's Bakery, and we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary.
This is Leah from Al County Real Estate. From all of us at Al County Real Estate, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary, and we are proud to do business in our hometown.
Hi, this is Sean from First Commonwealth Bank. Here in St. Mary's, our people tend to have a certain way of doing things, and values are more ingrained. It's our town, and we're happy to do business here. Happy 175th, St. Mary's, from all of us at First Commonwealth Bank.
This is Gino Pacelli from Nationwide Insurance. This year, we celebrate our 175th anniversary, and we are proud to be part of it. Enjoy the Bavarian Fall Fest and all it has to offer. From all of us at Nationwide Insurance, we wish St. Mary's a happy 175th anniversary.
Hi, this is Vern Kregel from Kregel Enterprises, located in the Elk Haven Industrial Park in St. Mary's. We are very proud to be a part of this wonderful community, and we wanted to take a second today to recognize St. Mary's on its 175th anniversary. Happy birthday, St. Mary's. Keep going strong.
All right, we are back live at the Farmers National Bank location here in St. Mary's as we get set for the broadcast of the 175th anniversary parade. Jeff Buhite, Gary Mitchell are joining us here, and we're going to leave it up to you guys to chip in. Ray Bible is going to take some pictures for photography, and we certainly look forward to having him back. He'll be with us throughout the duration of the parade, and again, we don't expect it down here for a little bit yet.
Is that a good camera angle there, Captain Showbiz? You think that's all right there? He's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go be camera guy. All right.
And Gary, this is such a busy day in St. Mary's. You know, we've been talking about it for a while now. You know, last night, Dan Connors, and then, of course, the football game.
Right.
And, of course, the festival going on. And, of course, the parade. And then there was rumor, I heard there was a golf tournament, a baseball tournament, 3 weddings, football game this afternoon.
Oh yeah, the St. Mary's Wrestling Boosters tournament was this morning. You're right.
Yeah.
The golf tournament. You're right.
Somebody put a sign in my yard this morning. There was a 10K and a 5K yard or race.
Well, yeah,
I don't know where
that's the physical training one.
Is that what
that's
that is?
physical
Okay.
trainings? Yeah, that one is today. And of course you signed up to win a month out there at physical training and physical industrial training and PIT there on the $1 Million Highway. Sign up on our website, and hopefully we'll be posting that up at theriver989.com on Monday. Yeah, I mean.
And then tonight I'm doing the Blast from the Past, the impersonators dinner.
Which one are you impersonating, by the way?
I'm not sure. I've gone as Rodney Dangerfield last year, pretty much as Don Ho. I think this year I might go as Jeff Booth.
Go as Don Rickles.
I tell you what, folks, it's part of the Relay for Life, the Golden Hearts team, and I've gone down there the last 2 years.
Wonderful.
And you know, it's such a, and again, there's so many tremendous charities. And Gary, you know, you've done it. You've been doing it longer than I have.
Right.
That we help out. And, you know, the charities in this area are so generous. I'm looking right out in front of us, the United Way.
Right.
Their goal, you know, they got that right up on the diamond.
Yeah, that's right here on the diamond, not too far from us. And, of course, we've done so many things here on the River 98.9 as well as far as charitable work. And you know, as we look out, and John's doing the camera work right now, thankfully, because Jeff and I's camera work, I mean, mine is a little bit better. Compliments Ron Snellick many, many years ago, him showing me at the old American Cancer Society telethons. If you watch that, of course, from St. Mary's Cable many years ago, and we came down and volunteered our time, and of course John has been talent on that, and myself has been talent on that. But then we also were asked, do you want to do camera work? And that's the camera work that I've done. And I know my wife is more adept at doing camera work.
I have a hard time seeing the monitors and stuff, but we talked about it. One of the booths that is here on the Diamond was over next to us yesterday here, was the lift, Life and Independence for Health Today.
Right.
And those folks are actually doing a raffle during the festival for $1,000 worth of groceries.
Right.
And what that money is going to go to is they are coming up with bracelets that they will give to folks that are in need that may have Alzheimer's or dementia, whatever. And again, that's something that they're raising the funds for. I told them we're going to do an interview with them soon, but it's another tremendous organization that's down here. And when we talk about the good people of St. Mary's, I asked him, I said, well, where did the donation came from? And I know one of them was Steve Cleland from our, Elk County Foods in Johnsonburg.
Mm-hmm.
He made a very huge donation of that. And there was so many other people I can't remember, but he was one of them.
Right, and remember this. Yeah, we talk City of St. Mary's, but this is an Elk County event. I mean, we've had the Elk County Commissioners wishing the 175th anniversary,
and they are in the parade too, by the way.
And they are here as they should be, and other members of Elk County, as far as government-wise, to help celebrate with the City of St. Mary's. They are on the parade route right now, just above us here at Farmers National Bank, and we want to thank them again for being one of our great sponsors of this great coverage here at theriver989.com, on the audio at the River 98.9 as well, and we'll be doing continuous coverage of this parade in its entirety, pretty much at theriver989.com. But about 1:45 we'll be heading out to Dutch Country Stadium for Elk County Catholic football here on the river. And again, the reason that they have that scheduled, well, nobody was anticipating a 3-hour parade at the time of the start, but also because there is other things going on at Dutch Country Stadium tonight, the Sounds of Autumn marching band competition.
It does help. The guy that was doing a big part of the lineup for the parade was Aaron Straub, who is also the athletic director for Elk County Catholic, so he could adjust things a little bit with the game.
Right. And
but again, when we talk about
the coordination of this whole weekend, beyond Bavarian Fall Fest is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But you know what? I'm just so proud again to see it, to be part of this. And, we look out and I can see, and it's really kind of a cool picture, folks. You see the pine trees in the Diamond with the American flag waving, and then behind it, the Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
It's an all-American picture that's in front of me right now. And then when I look up, I see organizations like the Rotary Club.
Yeah, they just took their float by, as you saw on camera there, and we've seen them. We've seen Fox Township from Kersey, their fire department. There goes Project Gifts for Elk County, as you can see on the screen. They're going by as well. So the Rotarians are fully involved with this parade, with both of those organizations in full bloom here as far as the parade goes. But and it's great to see how many people are here, right specifically on the Diamond, and have planted themselves and are just waiting till they make it around the parade route, the first quarter of it, so to speak, and then they'll make its way down here, and then of course on to Depot Street, just basically to our left from our location, where they're going to be going by and being judged by the judges. So
I had talked to the head judge for the parade this morning, Mr. Jerry Zelt, Zelta County.
Yes,
another one of our clients.
Right,
and he is actually in charge of the judging. They had folks both up in Elk County Catholic where they started, and they're going to be down at the parking garage. And one of our river veterans, Mr. Mason Catalone, I have heard rumor, is actually announcing the parade to the judges as they go by there. So I can hear Mason down there going, "This is the Rotary." They're on the 52-yard line.
Yeah. How's that doing, Johnsonburg Shamrock football, by the way?
The football game the games that Mark Martinez have done have been nothing but absolutely fabulous. And what's amazing about that, Gary, is the fact that you forget that these are 11 and 12-year-olds.
Exactly.
And they are very talented young individuals. Now, last week when we did it, they ran into a buzzsaw. They played Reynoldsville Cycling.
They're usually very good.
Well, they're really big. They were 11 and 12-year-olds, and they had 6 kids that were 175 pounds.
Jeff, don't mean to interrupt you, but we've got the City of St. Mary's Police Department now coming our way.
Now, we've got to check time.
They've got to made it. We're checking the time, and they're arriving here, ladies and gentlemen, at 11:45.
And I do believe Tim Pearson is
predicted
the winner.
11:45.
He said 11:45.
He had inside information.
He had the radio.
There we go. We have the City of St. Mary's coming by us right now, the City of St. Mary's Police Department. And of course, I'm sure our head chief and bottle washer inside the first one there, as far as the City of St. Mary's, and we appreciate the City of St. Mary's Police Department. Where's Ray? Ray must be taking photos. But anyway, it has come specifically back. The Ridgeway Police Department is even with us today. The Ridgeway Borough Police Department. Appreciate them coming and being a part of. And of course, it is the St. Mary's detail that is going to be coming
Ray
by.
Back
and
on
here comes
his
Ray
bike.
back on his bike.
And very, very important group, the servicemen's group.
Yep, the servicemen's detail of the City of St. Mary's.
Yeah, these folks need a lot of credit. I see my neighbor Tom there.
And let's
commanding
see.
That.
Yep, and in memory of Leroy Whitaker. Yep, detail member. Leroy unfortunately passing away this past Thursday at the age of 71 and had been suffering through some illness. And of course, Leroy did many sports broadcasts on WKBI for a lot of years, and we appreciate the efforts. We've got the Army folks coming by as well.
The reserve unit from St. Mary's here. Awesome group, and we got to remember these guys, are veterans. Wow, hats off to them.
Ray is back. I think he's back. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Just switch with Blaze.
Yep. Oh, okay.
And as we got a little bit of space in the parade here, but again, and of course, when we remember the veterans in downtown St. Mary's, we got our memorial, the Eternal Flame. That's such a unique and such an incredible part of our downtown area.
We lost a bet, Ray.
Yeah, not even close.
Not even close.
I can't believe how quickly
Tim Pearson was the closest. He said 11:45. He was pretty much right on it.
Well, I would hope so. He's the guy who's supposed to know that.
He had inside information. He was on the radio.
Yeah.
The U.S. Army in fatigue and full-fledged here in the City of St. Mary's 175th anniversary celebration parade.
Yeah, these guys are a World War II reenactor group. Genuine World War II era Jeep, uniforms, the whole business.
And that's really cool.
Grand Marshal, Ray. Grand Marshal.
Yep. Odo Valentine being driven by Martin Dornish.
And of course,
Odo, one of the oldest guys in town, and one of the most popular and noteworthy.
In grand style, he is being treated as he should be.
Oh yes,
yes. The St. Mary's Daily Press with throwing out candy to the kids, and Bavarian Fall Fest Committee with the State College Umpa Band is what I will call them.
Yeah, they call that the Little German Band from State College.
They were here, I think, for a Sacred Heart event.
Oh, yeah. They've been here a number of times, and they always play at the Grange Fair.
That is really awesome.
Yep. As they are on the Bavarian Fall Fest.
I always notice that the young ladies play the big horns. The big fellas are playing the little ones.
You're right. That is an amazing factor. And only Ray Bible would know that. That's fine. But we appreciate them. And, of course, I know the Bavarian Fall Fest Committee appreciates them being a part. They will be on the main stage at Bavarian Fall Fest in just a bit. Mayor Bob
Howard going by.
Yep. Zipping by in his nice little way of getting around.
And Consummate Bob Moore with him.
Okay. So now a little bit of gap between time, but again, the City of St. Mary's is 175th anniversary parade here now officially around us at Farmers National Bank.
Well, when I took off on my biking tour of the parade, I thought I would get, I never made it past Atlantic Street. They were moving a lot faster than I thought. I was hoping, I had friends
who invited me to stop by for a little tailgate at the parade in North Michael.
Oh, you got a tailgate at the St. Mary's parade,
Oh my
right?
goodness! I had 6 invitations.
If you didn't have Mother's Milk, the St. Mary's Mother's Milk, it wouldn't be a parade.
Right.
Here comes Sparky the fire dog out to say hello to all the kids along the parade route.
But it is, you're watching it on Zito Media Channel 4 and listening to it at the River 98.9 and the river989.com as well.
Ray has a microphone and a camera. He is doing it all today,
he is.
folks.
It's GM Equipment Rentals.
Crystal Fire Department float. That's awesome. All the kids up there and family members
of Crystal Fire Department members, and which allows us to say, hey, become a volunteer, because they are in need of young folks to volunteer for our local some of our volunteer fire departments within our area.
So they are actually putting together a volunteer fire department organization or classes at the St. Mary's Area High School to help with that, as long as a lot of other classes like EMTs and nurses' aides, because of the lack of help.
Yep, the numbers are just not there, and one of the old ancient fire hoses being drugged by the Crystal Volunteer Fire Department. We saw that coming whenever we were setting up here, and more of the old Crystal Fire Department equipment, right?
This is old number 1, American LaFrance, 1917, the first motorized piece of fire apparatus in St. Mary's, and as you can see as it goes by, still in operating form.
And Mr. Bauer driving.
Oh yeah, Mr. Bill Bauer. Yep.
And it just wouldn't be the same without having a couple of Bauers.
Oh, Bauer! The fire department runs on Bauers and Krauses.
Bauer power, as far as we're concerned, in the city of St. Mary's, no doubt about it. And we've got others still coming down from the Crystal Volunteer Fire Department and other fire departments. Earlier, I did see the Fox Township Fire Department going around from Kersey, of course, and we're glad to see that. As I said, that's the last parade that we had whenever they had the big fire department celebration here in the city of St. Mary's.
It's a curious thing. People ask all the time, why is it called Crystal Fire Department?
Yes.
Because Dr. H.P. Marsh at one of the organizing meetings suggested that as a name, and they voted on it, and it's been Crystal Fire Department ever since.
And will never change, because their tradition is a very heavy tradition in the city of St. Mary's. As they have the city.
There's our chief go by in the back of a pickup truck.
Yeah, Assistant Chief Kurchinski, Chief Kraus, and Assistant Chief Kraus.
And he just rattled that off without a sheet. He's amazing. You know that?
You're there, and he has a lot of fires at the house.
Engine number 11. We can certainly see that going by on your camera there. John handling camera work.
He's got a close-up. He's right on top of it.
Oh, we've got a list for somebody.
We got a note going out to the boss.
To the boss. Captain Showbiz has it all. All right.
He's telling us you need to back up so you don't get run over.
No, I don't think that's happening. I think he may be giving a list of maybe floats. But anyway, we got that taken care of.
Helps have friends in high places, I guess.
I guess so. And of course, beautiful machinery for the fire department. That's other things, need volunteers, and of course, fire machinery certainly always needs to be updated.
And of course, this is the first of the fire units, and we're so lucky because these units work together so well between Kersey, Ridgeway, Johnsonburg, Emporium. They all work together. They pitch in and they train together. They work together, and when there's an incident, they're there.
And I had no clue of how many engines that the Crystal Fire Department actually did have.
Well, they have four engines. In fact, that's the oldest one, the Pace. That was new in 1992 for the parade.
EE14.
But
new.
they have there's 4 engines: a rescue truck, a ladder truck, a brush truck, a utility truck. We're well equipped, and we have a big advantage in St. Mary's over a lot of other communities because we do something that's not common.
What's that?
We tax for fire protection.
Right.
We all contribute to having the fine apparatus, the equipment, and everything. Other towns, the fire department have to fundraise all the time. Our guys just have 2 minor fundraisers a year, Everything's paid for.
And one of the big fundraisers or fun pancake breakfast, I believe, is tomorrow morning,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, the serving starts at 7 until they run out. And I'm thinking, how can you run out of pancakes? You just run over to Save-A-Lot and get some more Bisquick.
I tell you what, my wife
You know
helped.
that through the Historical Society and the potato pancake stuff, don't you?
Yep.
My wife helped with one of those out at the airport, the pancake breakfast. And before they were done, they had made 35 pounds of Bisquick they used. Now, that's a lot of flour to stir.
It sure is.
They handed our boss there.
Yeah, what was that?
They handed us some of the winners of the fire department. It's handwritten. And I do see first place, St. Mary's, first place to Fox Township. There's a lot of information. Best overall, it's a Sandy Township Special Unit, longest distance Alpha Fire Department. So a lot of things here.
Tanker 101 just going by on your camera. Here and on your as you're watching at the river989.com and Zito Media Channel 4. Again, the Crystal Fire Department just basically taking up really the front third with how many vehicles that they've entered here at the City of St. Mary's Anniversary Parade.
Yeah, it's amazing. With all the drivers of the apparatus, they still had a big contingent to be in the marching unit. It turned out all hands for today.
Yep, and of course all family members were on a float here that were a part of it too. And this is a beautiful one coming by you right now. The Special Emergency Response Unit for Elk County 911.
Yeah, that's the hazmat unit there. The people that come out for spills and other hazardous conditions.
And now the St. Mary's Ambulance Service. Of course, you've heard about them here on the River 98.9 and all the trials and tribulations that ambulance services in our area. Bert Sorg going by driving this main vehicle. Celebrating 50 years of dedicated service is the St. Mary's Ambulance Service. And again, as I said before, ambulance services need your help too.
Yeah, we're lucky here in that we have a corps of paid professional emergency medical technicians, both basic life support and advanced life support. Our response time in some of the other townships and so on, when you call for an ambulance, a guy has to drive to the garage, get in the ambulance, and come to you.
Right.
Here we have guys sitting in the ambulance garage waiting for the call. The response time is in seconds rather than in minutes.
And that's wonderful to hear.
I do believe that's Marty Kim, another veteran
radio
DJ.
Personality, radio personality. We see Marty there driving the St. Mary's ambulance truck. See, they got smart. Those are the ones that got smart and got out of this business. Oh, my. But we have a little bit of gap between time. It is incredible to see the crowd that's downtown. When you were out on a bike, I mean, I'm sure that was
both sides of North St. Mary's Street were lined shoulder to shoulder. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of embarrassing because, I'm running by on my bicycle. I'm a little bit ahead of the parade, and people are clapping like I'm one of the units.
Well, maybe they thought you were Odo coming.
Well, maybe you should have put a sign for Bible photography right on the bike.
I didn't think of that.
So to kind of go from there.
Well, Ray, you are certainly one of the more recognizable figures around the area, and we certainly appreciate you being with us today to be part of this.
Well, it's a great honor, Jeff. I'm glad to have the opportunity.
As in, more of the St. Mary's Ambulance Services vehicles coming by us, and. We are really good on time because it didn't seem all that long that we saw the Fox Township ambulance go by here downtown just above us.
Yeah, they're moving faster than I thought.
Yeah, much faster, and that's keeping a good pace because having run parades before myself with the Chamber of Commerce and all a few years back, you want to have it all together. You don't want to have gaps.
Yep.
And the
Here comes one of our first bands, which is one of my favorite parts of the parade.
As it will be the Fox Township Ambulance Service coming by, handing things to people and handing it to kids. And yep, it is one of our first bands. We don't see a banner for them specifically.
I know I was with Elkland. I was part of the parade down in Ridgeway, helping and throwing candy and all that. And wow, was that ever a good time. The only issue was at the Ridgeway Fires Parade, we were handing out water to help people, and it was raining at the same time, so People were kind of looking at us kind of strange.
Hoping to see, because we're hoping to see. But this is our first band of the.
Now, Gary, which band? Can you see who this is?
That's what I'm trying. I can't. They did not have a banner in front of them.
Another local celebrity handing out candy there. Warren Stewart going up and down the street. Of course, Warren, another community leader, doing so much for the local town and of course, the Elk County Fair Committee.
Blessed Mary?
Yeah, this is the St. Mary's Parish entry. And she speaks there on the side. It says 175 years of prosperity through her intercession.
There you go.
And one can't argue against that. Mother Mary's been very good to us, and we've been good to her.
And Mother Mary waving at the crowd and everyone here for this parade. Beautiful float from the St. Mary's Church. More Fox Township folks, as it's the rescue unit. They're Rescue 311 in Kersey. And Kersey, in another area which is a part of northwestern Pennsylvania that we're a part of, that has a big area to cover. It's not necessarily a spit's throw to go and take care of things always.
And one of the things you got to remember about Kersey and some of these services is the fact they got some pretty rural area to cover. When they hop in a truck, they may maybe travel a little bit of ways to go put out a fire.
Exactly.
Or something.
You might note Kersey's engines, the number, they begin with 3.
Yes.
In Elk County, Elk County 1 is Crystal because they're the oldest. And so the numbers for the county fire departments are in order of their creation. So we got to be Elk Company 1.
And more of the Kersey Fox Township Volunteer Fire Department engines.
It's a fireman talking to some of the individuals that are going by.
Yeah, bragging a little bit about their place here in the parade, so to speak. And the tanker going by here.
Yeah, Jeff pointed out something that really needs to be probably said again. Mutual aid between the area fire departments is
St. Mary's Lions Club going by
is a big thing. When not so much for equipment but for manpower. And if there's a big fire, pretty soon you will see the Fox Township, they're always closest and they're first. You'll see the Fox Township helmets mingling with the Crystal Fire Department's helmets, and they work together.
And hand in
it's
hand.
fantastic.
And all of them in our entire area of northwestern Pennsylvania.
Lions Club float going by, a beautiful float in the back of the tractor trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about
1950, Ray, for the St. Mary's Lions Club, right?
Yep.
What a fabulous organization.
Yep. Yeah, we've been blessed with, a great variety of organizations, civic-minded, charitable causes, raising money, doing good deeds. The Lions Club,
in fact,
the Rotary Club.
We have so many. You did an entire show on it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
An entire half hour on just the service. Actually, I think it was even 2 parts that he actually did on just the service clubs in the city of St. Mary's.
Yep. Yeah, volunteering, service to communities, always been a big part of from the earliest days. I can't speak for other communities, but here we feel we're in this together. We're a community, not just a town where people live. We're a community. There's Matt Gobbler.
State Representative Matt Gobbler working the crowd.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep. He got a 5-gallon bucket of candy, and it's not empty yet.
Elk County Abate.
Another organization that's raising a lot of money for folks.
Yeah, they sure have over the past couple of months, and they've got their sickles that are revving up here for us in front of us on the Diamond downtown.
Very unique outfits for you folks that are watching on our video. There's Brett Sorg, of course, local therapist, one of the tallest men I've ever met.
And Elk County Abate was a good part of our St. Mary's, City of St. Mary's parade.
As we get a little bit of a breakout, you said about the fire departments. I still remember when the St. Mary's Moose caught fire, and remember Denny Lindbergh up on the ladder way up on the Ridgeway ladder truck, squirting water down on the roof of that fire. That was something that's been ingrained in me from 20-some years ago.
It was 5 degrees up there, and he came down pretty much as an icicle.
Yeah,
and you got to hand it to those the terrible conditions to fight a fire. And there was no hesitation.
I remember that night when we talk about that was a night of infamy here in St. Mary's, and I can still remember at that time Commissioner Ed Lynch looking and saying, "That's really a bad fire." And it really, of course, was. But at that time, of course, I had just started Smith Sports Store, and one of the firemen grabbed hold of me and said, "Don't you go too far because we may need you." It was a wild night. There was as much water coming out of the bottom of the building as going on. And
the back stairs were flowing like Niagara.
Yeah, and it still continued. But of course, we talk about the organizations, our local clubs, the Moose, the Eagles, the Elks, the CMF, the KSC, all those clubs that are around that are a big part of, again, fundraising and a big part of this town.
Yeah, a big part of the social life. Going way back to the earliest days, guys like to gather for charitable causes. Somebody's waving to me. A lot of people are waving to me. Anyway, always people, doing things for others. And that's a great tradition in St. Mary's.
Okay, we've got Tim Pearson back with us. Tim, it's looking really good as we got the Humane Society just going by, another tremendous organization. And Tim, what would our town be without our Rotary Club, the folks responsible for that beautiful clock? Wow, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, the Rotary and all the other nonprofit organizations we got in town, I can tell you, they are the lifeblood that kind of keeps this town going and kind of makes us who we are. The float looks awesome. There's that Fran Lewandowski guy in the back there throwing out food.
Notice the banner on the back that says The River 98.9. I would get killed if I didn't happen to mention that. But the Rotary Club does so much. And here comes Steve Nicholas, member of the Rotary Club, of course, owner of Save a Lot. There's Paul, a former owner of the Gift and Art, and other. These folks in the Rotary Club are the life breath. They just do so much for this community, Tim.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, the combination again of what I think volunteers do in this town continues to amaze me.
Vern Craigle bringing the float for Project Gifts for Elk County. Wow, I got to tell you what. They make sure kids that aren't going to get toys, they have a Christmas.
Hey, real quick, because I got to run, but I want to also make note that according to my watch, I think
you hit it
like 11:35 or a little bit later. So
there's no.
The optimist was correct this morning.
You were correct. I will.
We're going to be dancing in the pig trough.
Tim was right. I was wrong.
I'm just happy to see it going over smooth. I'm down by the judges' station. This is just awesome. So this is just a great day for St. Mary's.
Here comes some folks from the Elk County Catholic school system, all the way from preschool all the way up. Of course, a fabulous organization. And again, our schools take such leadership, Ray, in this area, and we're so lucky to have the schools we got.
Well, the thing is, from the earliest days, people of St. Mary's felt that educating their children was really important. When the school sisters of Notre Dame left in 1949, we went to a great deal of trouble to get the Benedictine sisters to come here to be the teachers. I always tell the kids in my 4th grade history class, you never get out of going to school. We think it's important that you go to school, and we always have. And we are blessed, both our public and our Catholic school systems, are first caliber. We're very blessed. But once again, we made that happen for us. We thought education for our children was important, and we made it happen.
And you know what? And we're so fortunate because, of course, we've got a tremendous private school in Elk County, but then we also have fabulous public schools. And, a hats off to my good friend, Dr. Brian Toth, out at St. Mary's area, because I'll tell you what, that superintendent is doing a fabulous job, as well as they all do in this area. But we're so lucky to have these people, and Dr. Toth is a great example. Was a transplant into the area, and he's become one of us, and we welcome him and what he's done for the area. Lucio School Transportation, of course, Ray. What would we be? These buses, these drivers. They not only navigate the snowstorms, but they navigate the diamond every day at 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah. It's an essential part of the education system is to get the kids to school. And, Mutual School Bus and their predecessors have been doing that since the 1930s. St. Mary's was one of the first towns to consolidate their little one-room rural schoolhouses into a downtown school. Spruce Street School, Consolidated School, many names. But we were one of the first to get the farm kids into a proper school rather than a one-room schoolhouse in the outlying areas.
And it's amazing. For a long time, we had 3 Catholic schools, and we filled them up. We filled them up.
Yep.
As well as, again, a tremendous public school. And really, when you look at it, we're so fortunate because when you look around the country and you hear the issues with the school systems, we don't have a lot of those problems.
Yeah, you can see if you look up at the top of the diamond, you can see some fire apparatus making the turn. Tim talked about how if they weren't careful, the parade would cross, and that's
and it has.
They haven't crossed, but they're coming very close. The one part of the parade is northbound, and the other part of the parade is southbound.
Well, I'm back here, and I just had to get my 2 cents about Ray Beimel's prediction and remind him never to call you for my fantasy football team for any suggestions.
Tim was already here and took credit and said,
Tim was right on.
Let you know, I hit it right on the nose.
He did?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, and I have to say, Tim had inside information.
And he had
That's
radio.
true.
Yeah, he had a radio on his hip, and his people were talking. But that's okay. This is one of those times where I don't mind being wrong. This is good.
What a wonderful parade, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite a. The people, the like I say, I had the opportunity to get out among along the parade route, and people are settled in. They're on blankets. They're on folding chairs. Some people brought out their lawn furniture. I was looking to see if anybody anticipating a long parade brought out a lazy boy, but I can't say I saw that.
That would be my choice. Ray, and we don't see it much anymore just because of the way things are today, and I know it wasn't this crowded with people, but a Saturday in downtown St. Mary's back in the day.
Oh, indeed.
Was busy time.
Well, yeah, our business area is not laid out well for business, but all the necessities, everything you were going to shop for, you could get in downtown St. Mary's. There were grocery stores on every street. There were clothing stores on every street. We had 2 department stores. We had Smith's Sports Store that were spoken of for your outdoor supplies. You could pretty much everything you needed, including buying a new car, because Elk Motors was just up the street on South St. Mary's.
That's right.
Everything you might want to shop for, you could get within a short walk of the Diamond in St. Mary's.
Yeah, and that was the place to be on a Saturday for my family. It was, mom and sisters going shopping in the morning, and Dad and I to a haircut, and then come home, cut the grass, and watch the game of the week.
Yeah,
Rocky Smith. How about
Rocky Smith?
Rocky Smith, Bobby Reed.
Yeah. What was on Brussels Street there? We used to go to him quite a bit there. Do you remember?
Pete McCall is another one to come to mind.
Benny Ross.
Benny Ross. And even the older, because in our time, we just got our hair cut there. In earlier years, a lot of men got their daily shave at a barbershop downtown.
It took me a long time to realize when I was sitting at Rocky's why bald-headed men were sitting in a barbershop.
Barbershop. Johnny Ferragini back on West Erie Avenue. I can't. Daniel on Brussels Street, and why can't I remember his first name? So the barbershops, Melly Nicholas back in the old Moose Building. And I'm talking about the Moose Building. I'm talking about the place where a guy in my age group and a little older, there were 2 places on Erie Avenue that were heaven on earth. Aki Hurst Sports Shop,
Oh, yeah.
and Al Marcia Stationery Shop. I don't know if I ever bought stationery there, but I bought books there, I bought toys there, and going to Aki's, Alan Hurst, models, paint, sketchbooks, photography stuff. Every wonderful thing you could imagine was in that store. And there was nothing better than, say you got $3 for your birthday. Now I'm going to spend a whole day shopping.
How about it? Huh? There's a little gap in our parade there, but we're having another float that's coming down here. We'll get to that in just a second. Watering holes were another big one. And when you were talking about Depot Street there, I remember Krusty's?
Oh, Krusty Friedel's, yep. And a little farther out was Rosie's Tavern, which was the closest tavern to Stackpole Carbon Company. And back in the day, there were people who had arrangements. When they went on break at the Stackpole, the line shut down, they raced across the parking lot. Rosie had 3 beers set up for each of them, pounded the 3 beers, ran back, and got there in time when the line started up again. And one of those guys I knew that I worked with had a wooden leg.
How about that? Hey, Helm County Catholic represented here, and Ray, that school has been a mainstay, obviously. And
well, we've had we one time had 2 Catholic high schools in town, Sacred Heart and St. Mary's, and then we had one, much beloved and often missed Central, and then of course that morphed into Elk County Christian, later renamed Elk County Catholic. And to have 2 high schools is a good thing for a number of reasons. It raises the bar. Each school has to perform better because of the other one, whether it's in scholastics or in athletics or in civic matters. The fact that we have 2, we're better for it than if we only had 1 high school.
And have had for all these years.
Yep.
At least that, yeah.
Yeah, I was the 5th class to graduate from Elk County Christian, and it's I'm a little bit daunted by the fact that next year I'll be at a 50-year reunion.
Oh my!
Yeah,
I'm not far behind. So,
well, I was going to comment. All the folks at the parade. It's really a mixed audience. We do have a lot of kids, but there's a lot of folks.
Oh yeah.
That are older folks that are down here. It's really a mixed bag. It's really a family out here today. Which and again, and I've said this so many times. That's what really makes St. Mary's. There's so many tremendous families. We mentioned the Bauer family earlier and all they do, and of course the Bible name, predominant in St. Mary's, and there's so many of those names and that are here,
And all of those all the old families, it's a rare one that isn't involved in something or many things. Family pride. We mentioned, Bowers and Krauses in the fire department. So many generations of them there, but there's so many other places where families do their thing that contributes to the community.
Another great group moving through from Elk County Catholic.
Well, that's the combined high school bands, and that's another unique thing. Despite the fact that our 2 schools compete, they also cooperate.
Yeah.
So we have 2 high school bands, 1 public, 1 Catholic, marching together in the parade, celebrating the anniversary of their hometown. It's a wonderful thing.
And they're coming through now. That's a section, the band, I've always said, you talk about the athletic programs, which are fantastic and get a lot of the attention. These band members put in a tremendous amount of time and deserve a lot more attention than what they get.
And it's something that's changing a little bit in the area, too, and the fact that, when I was younger, culture wasn't that great in St. Mary's, but now music, artwork, all that type of stuff has definitely big improvement.
Let's give a listen to that band out there.
Yep. Seeing those 2 bands working together is really emblematic of what we like to think of ourselves as St. Mary's.
Yeah.
The cooperation. You've got kids in one uniform, the other uniforms side by side.
One of our sponsors going by from Boak's Home Center, Lori Burke. big part of the band, waving her arm off to us.
And St. Mary's area cheerleaders are next in line.
And if you folks haven't got here, if you're not at the parade, of course you're missing it. But of course, we got a whole weekend of events because we got a festival going on, we got football games going on, we got a band competition later. It just is an endless set of events throughout this weekend, and for the folks that have put this all together. And of course, the good Lord has blessed us with a beautiful day.
Beautiful
John,
day.
You and I talked about it. Thank God it's not rain, which is unusual when you and I, when we get together normally for a live remote, you need to bring the umbrellas.
It's the Ray Beimel effect.
Well, hey, I can't take credit for that, but I'm looking out at the St. Mary's public school float. St. Mary's Flying Dutchman. People ask me frequently, where does the name come from? I said, well, we're certainly not Dutch. And I haven't ever seen it written down, but German people were often called Dutch because their name for themselves was Deutsch, and in English it sounded different. The Flying Dutchman, what a better name for a football team of hard-running, hard-charging Dutchmen. You know, and I can't prove it because I've not seen it written anywhere, but that certainly sounds plausible.
Hello to the South St. Mary's Street Elementary students.
Our Principal Christine Kunar, who has done such a tremendous job up there with that elementary school. See, what's cool about working with the river is we know so many of these people that are going by.
Yeah. Great to see so many organizations and businesses and individuals who have taken the time to prepare and come be a part of the parade.
This family thing again, my niece Angela's going by and her son's on the float, and my sister is watching from the side here. You know, 3 generations in one family all right here at the parade, and that's not unusual. That's going on all over the parade route today.
And of course, here comes our Elk County commissioners.
See if they'll wave to you, Jeff. You see them every month.
See if they even see me over here.
No, they're too busy with the candy. That's all right.
Yeah, they're throwing candy to the kids.
Now we're up your alley. Sportsman.
Yeah, the St. Mary's Sportsman Club. You know, last week I was down to help with Youth Field Day, and my hat's off to that organization, folks, because the things that they do, you know, the sporting is such an important part of this area. The hunting, the fishing, they help stock the streams. What they do cannot be underestimated.
You're watching the 175th anniversary parade in St. Mary's, and its coverage brought to you by our friends at Merson USA. We want to thank them for their contributions in making this all possible here today.
You know, it's kind of ironic, the fact that we have our commissioners followed by the Sportsman's Club, because
Tommy Lambert?
In a lot of places, it's not.
Ray Beimel, you wouldn't know me, but I know all your cousins, all the Herzing cousins.
Ray saying hello to an individual is a relative.
All right. More parade coverage coming up, and looks like we have some more floats and some fire trucks moving up the street here. By the way, you know, we're talking about the parade, and as Jeff mentioned, that's not the only thing going on. The 175th anniversary parade now, and of course afterwards, everybody's invited to come enjoy the Bavarian Fall Fest.
Well, I'll make
that
committee's
how many
done a
years
great
is
job.
that
Well,
I remember the
I'll do my best to help you with that.
One was the Bavarian when I was a kid, coming home from grade school.
Well, the actual Bavarian Fall Fest, as it is now, I believe is in its 7th or 8th year, but the festivals went back into the 80s, I believe.
We love her to pieces. She's great.
All right, we've got
some of the local businessmen around with funky little hats, and I wondered what was going on.
Yep.
Lou LaRue in their decorative
she's wonderful.
van.
Just wonderful that she's so active and so on.
And Pine Creek Fire Department.
That would be a good thing. Yep. It's good to see you. I got to get back to my work here, but I'm glad to see you here. Well, John, I just had one of those occasions that happens so often. That was Tommy Lambert. He's from St. Mary's, a few years older than me. His mother was one of the many Herzings. It's one of the wonderful things about the festival. People come back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've run into so many people that I knew years ago. I saw a guy I hadn't seen in 40 years. He recognized me. I had to ask his name.
Yes.
But that's a thing that happens here. It's home.
Daughters of America.
Daughters of the American Revolution.
All in beautiful, beautiful garb. The folks that are only on our radio. Oh my God, with their parasols above them, the whole bit.
Nice round of applause for them as they go by. Just an absolutely, this is a July day, actually.
Oh, it is. It is.
And we're blessed to have it on the date of that parade, 175th anniversary parade. We're going to get some music coming up here.
Oh, yeah, and this is, these guys, the Friday Night Gang, they keep alive live music played by St. Mary's people. This is a thing that runs back to our earliest days. We made our own music. Of course, most of it today is recorded and so on, and mostly children play band instruments. But these guys keep that alive. And, of course, a lot of these are from the Slovenian and Croatian families that came to St. Mary's in the 20th century and have enriched us with so many things.
And I'm seeing paper plates under on these vehicles that are going by. That's number 44, folks. And I do believe we had 130 units in this parade.
And this is what?
Number 44.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see these guys. People of St. Mary's love the polka. They love the live music. And these are the people that are really keeping it alive.
And as Jeff mentioned, if we're at 44, we can still see the parade coming out of Center Street. Of course, it makes a turn up.
Here comes some folks, Ray, that they were in uniform when you were younger.
This is a good bunch here. These are the Civil War reenactors of Company G of the Bucktails, the 42nd Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry, 13th Pennsylvania Reserves, 1st Pennsylvania Rifles. They had many names. One of the most colorful and units in the Union Army. These guys were everywhere. When the rebels saw the Bucktail, they knew they were in trouble because these were the best shots in the Army of the Potomac. That's Captain Chuck Capello there marching with the sword.
Classmate
Herman
of mine.
Lentz. Yeah. People.
Doug Foster in there.
Right. Yep.
Played softball with Herman.
Oh, yeah. And these guys, they're authentic in their drill. They're authentic in their uniforms and in their weapons.
Wow, Garner going by with the KSC.
That's another big thing about St. Mary's is those types of organizations played a big role.
Oh, yeah. There's an urge in St. Mary's collectively, if such a thing can happen, to join a group, to belong to something. And it's a rare person you'll talk to who isn't a member of one organization or another. And some people are members of 5 or 6.
Yeah, sure.
Here goes the St. Mary's Chevrolet float, which one of our advertisers, of course, and currently going to be moving in, John, into their new building up by the plaza. I think I got an announcement from Jason that said that the Dodge dealership's going to be moving probably in December.
Oh, good. And the Stoltz Ford team represented. The Elk County Republican Party.
You believe is that Doc Sorg that's driving there?
I think so.
Yep, that's Dr. Sorg.
That's another thing about talking about that just brings up what we're reminiscing is the family doctor back in the day was a little bit different than they are.
Oh, yeah.
Dave's Pro Shop going by us, another one of our fabulous sponsors.
A lot of the doctors were local boys who came here and stayed here. And I know in my case, Dr. Charlie Harbour was our family physician. Well, when I was born, he delivered me. And when I was 28 years old and had a twinge of back pain, he's the guy I went to.
Yeah.
We stuck with it. And families, if you were a patient of Dr. Keebler, you didn't go to Dr. Coppola nor Dr. Sunder and any of the others. And unfortunately, much of that era of medicine is gone. But we're blessed in St. Mary's. We have more local people On the staff at Penn Highlands Elk, Dr. Jay Golowski's from town, Amy Kelly, Julie Wonderling, Katie Fernand. She's from Ridgeway, but her mother's from Charles Street in St. Mary's. We have a pretty good number of physicians who came back here, and we have a lot of physicians' assistants who are St. Mary's natives.
And you mentioned one of the ones historic, Dr. Keebler.
Oh gosh, yeah,
the guy that you could call at 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, come take care of you.
Let's see here. Your kid did something foolish and he had a big cut. You just took him down to the house on Center Street. Doc would stitch him up on the back porch, and when you said, "What do I owe you?" he'd say $5.
Yeah.
A thing about Dr. Keebler, he's very popular, but we forget is he died at 57.
That is.
Yeah, he seems like he was here forever, but he died very young.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Dr. Bernie Coppolo, he was the last of the old gang.
Yeah.
Of that old kind of physician. He was from down the valley and came here, practiced, and for dozens and dozens of years.
That young man scooped that T-shirt right up, didn't he, John?
He took the T-shirt right from under our broadcast location and left. We have him on video, so we'll turn him in.
We have the veterans post 103, Vietnam veterans, and also veterans of foreign wars. And, it's a curious thing we have the American Legion posts in beautiful Simon's home there on Center Street. Most Legion posts have some kind of big weapon outside. Ours doesn't, which I think is to our credit.
See a sign there with General Edward Meyer.
Yeah.
And,
he's that's the Vietnam Veterans Organization. That's the name of their post. And we also have the banner there from the Elk County Composite Squadron of Civil Air Patrol and our local Army Reserve outfit, 347th Quartermaster Company Detachment 1. And over the years, after World War II, we had Army Reserve here. It was originally artillery, and then for a short time it became engineers, then it was back to artillery, and now it's Quartermaster. They're a pipeline outfit. They supply the gas when tank units and such are deployed.
And this is the Civil Air Patrol. I was part of that for a year or two, helping out to get that going, and another great organization. Of course, these folks, these are basically, it's like the auxiliary to the Air Force, and they do a lot with the younger people, which is really pretty awesome.
Little gaps within the parade, but it's still rolling strong here at downtown St. Mary's on this September the 16th, which we're celebrating the 175th, but Ray, it's really not till the snow flies, right?
Right, yeah. St. Mary's was founded on December 8th. That was the day when the early settlers brought their wives and children over from Centerville, Kersey, and that's the day they moved into their hastily built cabins, and as it was the Feast of the Immaculate Conception of Mary, they named their town Sankt Marienstadt. And people say, I thought it was St. Mary's. No, remember, they all spoke German.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
John,
that's when my grandparents or mother and some relatives were angry. They all of a sudden switched to German for about 5 minutes.
Oh yes.
My grandmother and my dad would both speak German. My mother didn't know it, so they wanted to talk to about something. They would speak in German. My mom would get very frustrated.
Oh yes, my grandparents were the same way. World War I was the dividing line, basically, because we're fighting the Germans, so we Americanized or Anglicized everything, and so my grandparents spoke German, and my parents don't. And there's Sheriff Todd Calderon.
They didn't see me. I was begging for candy.
Yeah, it's funny how often that happens, John. People you've known for years, people you've done favors for, and you put up your hand for some candy, and they don't see you.
Yep.
What was interesting is I was out on the street when all the trucks were going by, John, And then you pulled me back here when I started throwing candy. I'm starting to think you don't like me very much. Gary Mitchell's in the candy lane out there.
There's District Judge Mark Jacob, dear old friend of mine. I know where the bodies are buried, so he's always good to me. On the other side, doesn't even see me here.
Doesn't see you.
You know, he was my religion teacher at Elk County Catholic.
It's a phenomenal thing, isn't it?
He has progressed.
We have the Brockway High School Band coming in front of us now.
They have a pretty good parade of their own every year.
Oh, yes. It's a good-sized band. This is bigger than most high school bands.
That's a good point, because if you remember years ago, those bands, there's a lot of...
Oh, indeed.
A lot of people.
I don't envy the Brockway kids having to march in this sun in black uniforms.
Black uniforms. Now, Northwest Savings has their little truck mini van come. I wonder, candy or money?
I don't know. That's an early armored car.
Yeah, it is.
It's an early armored car, and there's the Northwest staff following the armored car, throwing candy or something.
T-shirts. Right.
Yeah, and these people, I deal at that bank. They're very friendly to me, but not one of them is going to look and throw me anything.
It's just like you're not around, right?
Yeah, well, there's Dan Decker with his wife. She's the boss down there, Linda. Dan!
Hey, Gary Mitchell gets one. Mitch gets one.
Yeah.
Mitch had one.
Wow, did you see that, Ray? Hand Salter here, scarfed that baby right up.
Left-handed, too.
I was impressed. Well, that's all that, basketball at the boys' club.
Yeah. By the way, I did find out, Johnsonburg Fire Department now coming through, talking to Brian Donahue, and we were chatting about Dan Connor's return. Brian told me about years ago, look at this. Brian told me, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda. Somebody loves us.
We got 3 and there's 4 of us. Sorry, Gary.
Brian told me about in the off season, Dan would call him and they'd get a bunch of guys together and they played football down.
Yeah, Dan would come back to town in the off season here, and he was very, very much of a presence in town. You would see him on the streets, in the stores and stuff.
Well, back in the day, those guys, I guess, in the pro sports, they really did have an off season. I mean, some of them had other jobs.
Oh, yes, yeah. They certainly weren't paid at the rate that modern athletes are.
And this is a group that we've talked about, the Spartans with Todd Parisi. What an incredible young group. And I believe, John, what was the story on the flags? Were you familiar with that?
I am not.
I know Sally Geyer.
One from every of the 50 states.
Okay.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
That's it, yeah. What a beautiful display that is. Team Spartan, and they are well represented. Been doing some good work around the community, and I believe are helping out, volunteering with some duties, helping out at the Bavarian Fall Fest, too.
Yeah, I looked at Todd once after I was done with one of his interviews. I said, I think about you, Todd, you're so shy.
Ray, do you think there's any parts from St. Mary's in that model?
That might be a little early well, I'll tell you what, if it's got a self-starter, the brushes in the starter motor came from St. Mary's.
The railroad being represented here, and of course that's a big part of our history too.
Oh, indeed. We had 2 railroads at St. Mary's. We still have one. This one's lettered for the Pennsylvania Railroad, which is the one that still comes through the center of town. The more noted one was the Pittsburgh Showman Northern, which was started by guys from St. Mary's. But what's noteworthy about that, it was bankrupt for 42 years.
Is that right?
That's the longest corporate bankruptcy in American business history.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a very unique business, very septic system. What would we do without them?
Number 1 and number 2.
Yep. Yeah, in the morning, John is such such an interesting character.
Yes,
he's just a great guy to hang out with. Not only do they take away the dirty water, they also supply, the big tanker going in front of us now supplies clean water to those places that are not blessed with being on the St. Mary's municipal water system.
Your septic service part of the parade, and What a beautiful day for this 175th anniversary event.
This is a heritage float here. We can't see the names on the other side, but there's Ignatius Garner, George Weiss, Mother Teresa Vogel, and I should know because I gave them the names. But these are paper mache heads of some of the really important people that were in the early days of St. Mary's, the people whose will and power to make things happen made St. Mary's. This is done by the Frontier Girls from Sacred Heart Church.
That's a great looking
Do you
float.
think someday the three of us or four of us, since Gary's out with the camera, will have paper mache heads and going,
I would
the
hope
early
so.
days of St. Mary's?
I would hope so. And you know, this is going to bother me all the rest of the day. Who is... Oh, John Walker. John Walker, Ignatius Garner, Mother Teresa Vogel, and George Weiss.
Those are the four
very
bands.
early people who were very much responsible for turning St. Mary's into a going concern. And Frontier Girls paying homage to them. That's a wonderful idea and well executed.
I hope we don't get any water on our camera out there.
The camera, yeah.
Well, Gary's going to sacrifice his body to cover it if it
I don't
comes to
think
that.
so.
He didn't hear that out
Yeah.
there. I'll tell you, we'll take his T-shirt and put it over the camera.
There's a good
What we're
idea.
talking about, the power washing company has a spray coming out of the back of their wagon, and the kids are going out there to cool off and snatch up the candy, and you know, everybody's having a good time here. I haven't seen a frown all day.
And you know, it reminds me of the days when we were so excited to see it rain so we could play in it.
Yeah.
Ray, we were talking about the hospital earlier.
Oh my, yes.
What a nice replica.
Oh my. Truckload of nurses. Wonderful people, you know, have kept the hospital, because we know who does the heavy lifting in healthcare. It's the nurses who take care of you.
Yeah.
And they've made a beautiful model of the original building, the old Benedictine monastery. A wonderful thing. People of town have taken this anniversary seriously. They've really put out some serious effort to make floats, and I really like the ones that tell our story.
You know, you could probably sell that as a tiny house.
Well, you know how people in St. Mary's build stuff. The time capsule we buried in 1992 was made out of quarter-inch stainless steel welded with a O-ring and 16 bolts to hold the lid on. We just wanted a box, and that's what Cinerite Products made for us.
That's great. Just one great float after another.
There you go, sir.
Going to get Mitch back over here, and Jeff is going to go to the camera.
I was almost going for the spraying.
We were hoping you're going to remember to cover the camera.
Yeah, no, I went. I was taking care of that. They weren't that high. Oh, what a beautiful day, guys.
Beautiful is right. Sinclair being represented.
You know, there's a lot of children have been on the floats and in the parade, and making memories. You know, I was a part of that.
Yeah, what a memory for kids to, you know, you can say that you were a part of the 175th anniversary parade.
Yep. And you remember things like this. Years later, people have told me about. Yeah, I was in the '92 parade or the '67 parade. You know, this is a big deal.
And we are up to float number 71, which is CNB Bank.
So about halfway through.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
130 is supposed to be.
So are we getting T-shirts from them?
I don't know. I took care of you for Northwest, though, right?
Yeah. Hey, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Hey, the other bank gave us T-shirts.
Yeah, we got one from Dave's Pro Shop. You know, they gave it to me, and these guys look like, you know, I ripped them off. So I made sure that Northwest.
That one was stolen.
Oh, that was taken by the Dave's Pro Shop one. Okay, no problem.
Now these guys,
where are these guys, Ray?
They took they're the longest distance traveled to be in a parade. Alpha Fire Company, State College, Pennsylvania. So they've come all the way from State College, from Atherton Street, where the firehouse is, to come up here and take part in our parade.
Wonderful. Good to have them here in the city of St. Mary's.
You know, I've often talked to, I know a lot of firemen for various reasons. I said, if you're in a parade, does the alarm ever go off?
Oh.
And they said, hardly ever, but it's bad when it does. And I said, why is that? Because he said, no, because all the out-of-town units want to help.
Oh.
They get in the way.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, for the next 175th, they need to make it short.
We got one of the detailmen says they need to make this shorter.
I've watched it twice.
It only happens once every 175 years. So.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll probably be around for that.
You're going to be around in 200? There you go.
Oh, easy.
25 years from now, there, bud.
I'll probably be leading it.
There you go.
There you go.
Valentine Jr.
Talking about the Girl Scouts, they're represented here, Ray, and we remember when we talked about the Girl Scout uniforms of the past.
Oh, yeah. Well, Girl Scouting, has been a big thing. It's been a constant in St. Mary's since, I believe, in the 30s. We have two facilities. The old Weidenberger home is now called the Proctor House. That's where the Girl Scouts meet. And we also have Camp Adahi, which is just over the line in Fox Township. And they have day camp and sometimes overnight stuff for girls to get, a bit of an outdoor experience. So Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, and, of course, now the Frontier Girls. Great organizations to teach youth responsibility and leadership. Oh no, that's
a little gap. Gap.
Well, this is what I expected.
Yeah,
you can't
have a parade. They can't entirely flow all the way, but it gives us a chance to mention our sponsors like Mercen USA. We appreciate them. Of course, they're on the front of our banner, and other great sponsors that are bringing you this great event.
And while we have a chance, let's take a break. And while we have it, we're back with more coming up here on the River 98.9 and also on our website, theriver989.com.
Live coverage of the 175th Anniversary Parade being presented by Mercen USA and broadcast live on Zito Media Channel 4 and The River 98.9.
We're continuing with the live coverage, and
just saw these guys last night for Cameron County and Kane, as the Kane band is here this afternoon,
playing the United States Marine Corps hymn.
You know, one of the things, guys, the amount of candy for this parade has got to be tremendous.
Well, I look at it this way. Supposing all the calories that were thrown to the streets of St. Mary's were converted to motor fuel, we could probably drive to Denver.
Holy cow.
Big thanks to the Kane Marching Band for participating in our parade.
And their band director was a kinder soul. They're walking in polo shirts and khakis instead of the black uniforms like Brockway.
There you go. POW, Ray. History on parade.
Yep. That's a replica of an M133 armored personnel carrier.
Dedicated to all those who served in Vietnam.
Yep.
Built by history.
Yeah, History on Parade is a group that makes these historically, commemorative floats.
Oh, really? Okay.
They did the Hoodle Bug in '92. They did PT 109 a few years ago, for two that I can recall immediately. But they a lot of work in that, and oh my golly goodness. A Shawmut-themed float. That is the wrecker, a replica of the Big Hook, the wrecking crane from the Pittsburgh Shawmut Northern Railroad.
Wow.
Wow, that
is impressive.
Wow, what a piece of work that is, along with a replica locomotive. That is wow.
And Michelle Muccio, our Elk County coroner.
Well, let us hope she has no work today.
Yeah, that's exactly that, Ray. But again, the parade with 130 floats in it, so to speak, has flowed really quite nicely. I mean, we started at about 11, and it got to us here on the diamond at 11:45. Tim Pearson, he certainly had the info on when it come around, and it continues on here on the River 98.9 and at the river989.com and Zito Media, the Elk County Prothonotary. Suzanne Straub Schneider and truck going by. And the clowns. Can't have a parade without clowns. Or no, I don't mean Jeff. I don't mean Jeff Buhite.
It was very, very timed.
Yeah, it was. You timed it well.
Actually, we've got Legos in there.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Little County that could. It is the Elk County Community Recycling Center.
Yep.
Dave Stubber driving the truck today.
Yeah, and Becky Titchener waving to us. She's the one who runs that organization, and she's made Elk County very conscious of
recycling. It sure has for our rural area.
Yep.
The Elk County Recycling Center is one of our special parts of this area.
And I got it wrong. That's a dead battery. That's not a Lego. I got fooled by the terminals that are.
Oh yeah, and a milk jug.
Right.
Milk jug.
And a can. Yep.
Yep.
And it's amazing if anybody hasn't been part of that, gone back to
the
recycling center, what they do. It's fabulous.
Here's the
first car.
Yep, 1903. This car has been in every parade since the 30s. A few years ago, it still ran. They don't run it anymore. First car in town. Any two of us, Jeff and I, Mitch and Jeff, you can pick that car up and carry it around. It's so light.
Wow. And more floats going by here.
Well, that's
it's our friends at Walmart.
Yeah.
Looks like they've got some stuff float going by. Yeah, our friends from Walmart on the $1 Million Highway.
Yeah, the previous float in front of that was from the St. Mary's Public Library. And, that's another point of pride in St. Mary's.
Oh, yeah.
Library.
Yeah, we have a library.
So many things for children there. Encourage people to read, and we know the kids who read are successful.
Kane Volunteer Fire Department going by us, and again, a wonderful parade that is full of the volunteer fire departments in our area, and we appreciate them coming from all over.
And as one of the folks that has a pager a lot of times on my hip, I hear these calls going back and forth. And you just don't know what they're doing. All of a sudden things explode on those pagers, and it is fabulous to hear how they work together. And you know what? Snow, rain, it doesn't matter. They're out there in the middle of the night. I've been woken up by the pagers, and it's their dedication is beyond belief.
I'm looking up at the at the north end of the diamond. The people on the north end of the diamond are watching the parade, and the people on the south end of the diamond are watching the same parade, only many units along.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, we know that Elkland Search and Rescue will be the last unit, and I keep looking up there, and I haven't seen them yet. So there's a lot of parade to go.
130 is our total supposedly today, and there may have been a few more fit in even before the parade started.
They were pretty solid when they had the final lineup, because they were very precise. This morning at breakfast, this is what we have. This is how we have to do it.
Right.
This is where they're all going to be. I mean, they were really pretty pretty specific about what was going on. That's what, as being one of their members, I'll tell you what, that's what makes them successful, is their precision as to what they do.
There we go.
Yeah, the clowns are tired. They're officially tired.
Now we see Elkland Search and Rescue.
Oh, yes,
There'll be a while.
It'll be a while
before they pass us.
Well, we're staring at
12:45.
12:45 this afternoon, so that would be about right. 1:30, quarter to 2.
Yep. So there's still a lot of parade to pass in front of us, and the clowns are laying down in the middle of the street.
Yeah, they're
which they can do safely.
Yeah.
Because of the good traffic control of St. Mary's City Police Department. They've got cars at all the intersections, and traffic passes when it can, and the rest of the time traffic waits.
There you go. As again, it goes down. The parade does. They'll go down to Depot Street. And just a left from us, right after you get over the railroad tracks here, on the diamond, and they'll go by the judging.
And you can tell the improved camera work for you folks that are now watching.
Because Jeff and I did it.
John has taken over the camera and said, he wants it to see actually what's going on instead of an empty street.
There you go.
And he's out of earshot right now, so we can say, you know what, the amount of work that he's put into bringing this, and the sponsors we had. Gary, when I went around to get sponsors to do this, wow! I mean, it was like, hey, do you want to do something on the? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even finish the sentence, and but let's do it.
And of course, you see and hear a lot of those during our coverage here at theriver989.com and at the River 98.9. And we appreciate all of the sponsors.
I mean, Mercen, I went back to them back in, I think it was in March, and said, hey, would you like to, and it wasn't even a thought. I mean, Nancy Plows back there was like, hey, it's done.
And pretty much gave us a chance to post up on the website and run over the air. More Ray Beimel remembers. And that's an important thing.
That's right. And Ray, and that show was such an important part of, of our lineup on Sunday morning for so many years, and we want to revive that.
Well, it's funny. I was photographing a church up in Austin for the diocese, and one of the parishioners came in to do some cleaning, and I alerted him to my presence. I said, I'm taking pictures for the Faith magazine for the diocese. My name's Ray Beimel. And he said, are you the Ray Beimel that remembers?
There we go. Hey, see, it works.
Oh, yeah. Well, he said, and he was telling me about how much they enjoyed the show, and he said, yeah, we can listen to you at work, but that's the only station we can get.
Hey, we appreciate that. Eric's, of course, with another float. They've had quite a few in it today. And I feel sorry for the gentleman that's in the cage.
Yeah. Well, this is the POW.
I was about to say, yep.
Yep, and let's not forget about those folks.
Yep.
They sacrificed everything for us.
That's the example they're trying to show here, and making sure that we always thank our servicemen and women.
And they're handing out flags, to children and adults along the way. They're the ones who thought of that. Everybody else was with candy and T-shirts.
They're handing out
these
flags.
Guys, flags.
We appreciate that very much. Team Spartan 2 again, along with the Vietnam veterans, Chapter 720.
I do believe this is our Father Michael that is now at Sacred Heart.
Yeah,
Sacred Heart Parish.
Yeah, this is the Sacred Heart Church Choir. And, Father Michael's on the other side. Steve Herzing's driving and throwing candy all the while. And, singing.
It's the Dutchman and others.
No.
Actually, it's their choir,
Yeah, it's their choir. Dan Nadzinski, Mike Knapp, Ed Schwer.
I thought
I was about to say, Ed Schwer swings.
This is the second time.
He sings everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the second time I saw him go by us on a different float.
Yeah. Chamber of Commerce right in front of us now. And Woodsy Owl, Smokey Bear.
From the
DCNR.
Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Remember old Steve Bauer? He's passed on now, but he was Smokey Bear's escort for every parade in Elk County for years and years.
Would it be anybody but a Bauer? That would be bringing Smokey the Bear around, you know?
Yeah, I would... I used to tease him about that. I said, Steve, you got so much seniority, you don't got to put the bear costume on. He said, you don't know what it's like walking around in that fur suit on a hot day.
The red hat bells of St. Mary's, Rick.
I've done that in the Eddie Eagle costume, right? And he is right. It is in one of these parades. And
this is a bunch of ladies who they're too much fun. The second tour I gave at the New Historical Society was to the Red Hats. Ladies who get out and do stuff, and nice social organization.
Good to see Elk County Cruisers a part of this parade. They've been doing a lot of different events throughout the summer.
Yep, we're going to see some classic automobiles here
as they come through.
The Chevrolet truck. I don't know who started it. Of course, it's totally impractical. It's chopped, low rider. I think that's Bill Paff in there. And then we've got a 70s muscle car. Yeah, this is what everybody wanted in those days.
Oh yeah, still want.
That's Andy Hoy. That's Andy Hoy in there.
Yep.
Still want those kind of vehicles. Of course, we saw St. Mary's Rotarian Vern Kregel go by earlier, and he's got many of these vehicles in his home.
Yep.
I can't think of Tim's last name right now, but Dan Stato, one of his cars.
More of the classic cars going by.
Oh yeah, no, you got to love it. There's
Schultz from Boys.
There's a Dodge Charger with a big hole in the hood because the carburetors are too big.
There you go.
That's how we got power in the old days. Burn more gas.
And you see a lot of these. And he's burning rubber.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Where's that fire hose when you need it? As he leaves a puff of blue
Well,
smoke.
the thing to do used to be you had your muscle car, you'd ride around the diamond, popping wheelies, burning rubber, go real slow across the railroad tracks, do it again down the boulevard, come back and do that all night long.
Rick Stowboys, of course, a part of that with his, and you see his vehicles proudly displayed there in his business. More of the Elk County Cruisers flowing through with us here at the 175th Anniversary Parade. Gary Mitchell, Jeff Buhite, Ray Beimel, Johnny Marks out there on the camera.
Yeah, Johnny's out in the camera because we want to see really what's going on. And this crowd seems, am I mistaken, is it getting bigger? Maybe the end of
They're
the crowd.
flowing down, so the end is coming.
Well, you got people who have already seen the whole parade coming down here to see more of it.
As the Elk County Cruisers continues to make a little bit of noise, and now what we're seeing is actually traffic moving on the other side of the diamond.
You're right.
Which is going to be
interesting.
A long line.
Yeah, it is going to be a long line as far as traffic goes. So that means, the end of the parade is near.
Well, but here's Unit 95.
There you go.
To the plate.
So it's Unit 95. So we still have at least 40 to go to come through us.
Dream Adventure Travel Company.
Thank you. And it is a current movie, which Moana.
Oh, Moana.
There we go. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there's Maui with his fish hook. Moana waving. Very nice float.
And in the movie, the voice of the Rock.
Yes.
Was
Dwayne Johnson.
Yep, Dwayne Johnson was him. And more of the cruisers still squealing their wheels to our left. We are located in front of Farmers National Bank. River 98.9, river989.com, and Zito Media.
I think this must be Donica Gymnastics.
It is. Okay. It is. Got to hand it to those girls. I wouldn't do that on a stable platform, and they're doing it on a moving float.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive.
Very brave young ladies here.
Yeah.
And the dismount coming is it's a moving vehicle for Donica Gymnastics.
And just for the folks that are radio only, Donica Gymnastics, they got the bar across, and they're doing flips around the bar on a moving vehicle. And I got to tell you what, like Ray said, that you wouldn't catch me doing that on a solid vehicle. So
12:55. So since we're a little bit close, we're going to actually tell you it's WQKY Emporium St. Mary's. That's the River 98.9 radio-wise, and river989.com. Of course, you're watching all through Zito Media, YouTube, and we're just so darn tech savvy. It's incredible. But it is the 175th anniversary St. Mary's Parade. And we're even seeing headstands here today.
Yeah, and you know what? This whole weekend is just all about the pride of this area.
And Mercen USA now coming towards us with their happy anniversary float. And we want to thank them for being a great sponsor again of our coverage.
Without Mercen, we wouldn't be here. It's been on our banners. It's been on our coverage. They put a lot of time and money and effort. No doubt about it.
So Mercen USA helping to build our history since 1906.
Yeah, they were originally Stackpole Battery Company, then Stackpole Carbon Company, and then they were Carbone of America, and now they're Mercen. And they are, they've been making carbon products here for 111 years, and they are well set for the future. They make things that nobody else can make.
St. Mary's Snowmobile Association, one of their most recent projects has been the Rails to Trails effort that has been done between St. Mary's and Emporium, and we appreciate all that they've done.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing there. I bike on it when I can. I see hikers, bikers, I see children in strollers. It's a great thing.
It's totally used, Ray.
Yep.
Whether it's this half of it or down in the Cameron County half of it, and if you've not been on it, you need to take a trek on it, at least walk. Friends, it's just a sight to be a part of.
And let's face it, these rails to trails are really a key to when we talk about this Pennsylvania Wilds bit, gentlemen, because of all you can do on it: hike, bike, ski, walk, and it's just and it's something that both the tourist and the everyday guy can appreciate.
And the snowmobile ride that goes on.
Yeah.
Jay Township Volunteer Fire Department going by.
Yeah, Jay Township's a relatively, you see there, Elk County 5.
Right, they're new, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, relatively new. Back in the 1930s, the Burndale School burned down, and they called St. Mary's. I can imagine driving old number 1 down what the highway was then. I'm sure they got there just in time to cool the ashes.
Elk County Fair Queens Court. We have 2 vehicles.
And some of the folks from the fair board, Rita Gerber there, and helping us every year to bring the broadcast to the fair. And this year I had the chance to be the MC for opening ceremonies. What an honor for me.
Elk County Right to Life coming by us too. Good to see all the friends.
Good haul, Maria. Good haul.
She probably designed those T-shirts.
There you go.
Oh, yes. This is the...
okay.
Group.
Yeah. Some shirts maybe she shouldn't have. But anyway. We are seeing a lot of folks coming down from the upper end of the parade. They're going by. And even folks from Cameron County coming by and seeing us here. And that's good. We've seen quite a bit of folks from Cameron County today watching the parade. And there, we talked about other things going on in the area. St. Mark's Festival is going on in Emporium today. More of our floats coming by.
Wow, this is a performing group?
Yes, it is.
From, I believe, DuBois.
It is Baton Corporation.
This is something else here. These girls are walking, spinning, dancing, and throwing batons. I know that I would knock somebody out if I even swung a baton. Well, let's try to catch it.
Kidnetics. I didn't see the I there.
Yep,
Kidnetics.
There's a little tiny girl, sitting on the driver's lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little tiny. She's clapping along. Like I said, it's all joy here today.
As we watch on Zito Media and at theriver989.com the performance of Kidnetics from DuBois.
And again, the talent that these young ladies have, because I would definitely be knocking somebody silly.
Yeah, they did a toss a moment ago, and all but one of them came back into hands. But they're trained. If they miss the baton, they
keep going. Keep going, and that's why they have people behind them that are there to pick up the batons and then hand them right back.
We had one that dropped, and a sweet little girl out here, she couldn't wait to be part of it and go out there and hand that baton back to her.
And that's a memory, the day I handed the baton back to the girl.
There you go.
Not like in baseball where if the bat goes in, you keep it.
And again, it is the 175th anniversary parade here on the River 98.9.
Kerry, you're our sports guy. Did they go? The Cleveland Indians still did.
They lost.
Did they finally lose?
They finally lost their...
So they didn't break the record.
No, got to 22, and that's where it all unfortunately fell apart.
What a run.
Yep, it sure was.
What a run.
Speaking of sports, we will be going out to Dutch Country Stadium about quarter to 2. It is 1 o'clock.
And we got some wind kicking up.
Yeah, we do.
Young lady in the back of a truck holding on.
Yeah, they don't have. There we go. The banner goes by. It was Bucktail Motors that went by us there, and this float right here
from Leadvance.
And of course, what a story that is the fact that keeping those jobs right here in Elk County. Wow, that is huge.
They have their history and the banners on the side.
Osram, Sylvania, and Leadvance.
I've said it before today's broadcast, but we in St. Mary's are the only place in the United States where an LED light bulb is built for putting in your regular lamps and so on. No one else can do it but us.
That's awesome. Yep. We got the new Elk County EMS coming through. Something that's certainly a little bit different in a private ambulance service. We have never had that before. We do now because of the amount of calls. And, where they just St. Mary's ambulance, they're still there, but they needed some help. Well, that's what they're doing.
Elk County EMS with us here today at the anniversary parade. Trying to catch a number here to go by to see what point we are at our 2017 parade, as we have a little bit of a downtime past the Elk County EMS. We're talking about LED Ray and Osram, Sylvania. What time did during the history of St. Mary's, did it kind of go more powder metal?
Powder metal started at Keystone Carbon in the 1930s, and it was a relatively small part of the business up into the 50s. But getting into the 60s, more plants were opened, and the technology to make things out of powdered metal grew and grew. And of course, we were in a position to take advantage of that because we had the precision tool and die making shops here who could make these complex dies with close tolerance to make the parts. And then we had to convince people, yeah, this is made out of powder. It'll work.
The powder metal capital of the world here in our area. Ridgeway, the high school marching band with us here in St. Mary's.
And again, we mentioned the EMS services working together. Of course, the schools are working more and more together.
You have to function these days and just be a part.
But it's awesome. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see. And of course, they're stopping right in front of us, right on the diamond. How beautiful is that? And you got to remember, this parade isn't over in front of us. It's going all the way down Depot Street to the parking garage down that way where they will dissipate. So. We're just taking a moment to listen. And you want to remember the particular these young ladies out in front of us that are dancing. We would be embarrassed that they take pride in it.
Oh yeah. Well, they dance better than you and I.
Well, they do, but they're in front of a very large crowd.
Oh yeah.
And they're performing, and as beautiful as it is. And as far as musical ability, well, I can forget that.
Good job done by the Ridgeway Marching Band. for us this afternoon. As we have a little pause, and I think they were told when you get to the
Get to the diamond.
get to the railroad, stop a little while. Good to see the Ridgeway Middle and High School band with us here today.
One of the
trucks.
rescue trucks coming by.
That's from Ridgeway.
Yes, sir. Ridgeway number 4. There we go.
Yep.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah, you're catching on there.
I am, Ray. You're teaching me so many things
Yep.
today.
Yep.
Good old Dave Parsons on the other side there in the fire rescue truck.
Of course, he's not looking at us again.
No, yeah, he's just kind of gazing at everything else. Dave, of course, a part of our staff here at the River 98.9 for a
There
little while.
goes Frank Sinatra by us.
Frank Sinatra.
Mr. Dave Carr.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? All right. Straw Brewery, of course, wouldn't be a St. Mary's Parade without it.
And it won't be a St. Mary's evening without it
That's
either.
you guys about to say. That's what I referred. Mother's Milk was my reference earlier, and that's exactly what the Straw Brewery is all about.
And there'll be a lot of that drink when this parade is done.
You know, they got a lot of kegs there, but you can see they're not full.
Yeah, because he's carrying one. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to put that thing on his back.
You're right.
I do. Is that A.J. Alexander that's carrying that, I believe?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and there's
wearing the hosens.
Jason Straub driving the old Jeep with the beer cases on.
Kathy Lentz on the other side, their marketing manager.
No, ma'am.
It was right here, but they're not here today.
I believe they're directly across the street, the lift booth.
Where the sidewalk ends, counseling services begin. And a little performance in front of us. Sandy Hose Company, Ray.
Yeah, and they got a trophy on the front platform.
According to this, they won best all-around fire apparatus.
Well, that is a good-looking piece of equipment.
Sure is.
And it looks like they're dog dirty and ready to load it. Well, they're not dirty, but they're loaded for bear. They got everything.
Good stuff there from the Hose Company.
Yep.
Stride for stride, of course, 4-H in front of us right now. County 4-H group.
Yeah.
And you folks have both been in parades. You know, it's as cool to be on the parade side as it is to watch it. It's really pretty neat.
And what would be a parade without having horses either? Gotta have horses. All a part of the Elk County 4-H.
And what would it be without horses with a guy following them with a shovel?
Sure.
Yeah, I think he probably got the short straw.
I think so.
But he got a round of applause from the audience.
They'll probably put it right in the beer septic service box right beside us.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny.
Well, we have river vision, but luckily we do not have smell vision.
And the biggest round of the day is the guy that picks up the horse doo-doo after the horse relief.
Well, you notice that the fire engine there hesitated to tread.
Yes, he did. And not your typical fire color. We've got green.
Yep, Bradford.
Is that Bradford Township?
Bradford Township.
Yep.
Of course, they always bring the good-looking engine to the parades.
My brother was a part of that organization for many, many years, I believe, chief. They're across the street.
Broadcasting live, man.
You want to go on the radio?
You want to talk on the radio? Okay.
Because we're live on the
we don't
radio.
have T-shirts for you. We're doing the parade. Thank you. Penfield.
I think that's the Bennett's Valley Queen, I believe.
See you later. Yep.
Penfield Volunteer Fire Department, engine number 41.
So they're in Clearfield County, so that it doesn't work.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't apply with the number-wise, so
Right.
you're right, Ray. Again, here on the River 98.9 at the river989.com. A lot of great sponsors bringing you here at the River 989.
What's that?
We're trying to find the number here. Rick's Auto Parts.
Elkland has already gone around there. They're pretty close.
Yep.
Hey, John, you only got to drive to Pittsburgh. You only got to drive to Pittsburgh yet today. You'll get there.
Rick's Auto Parts, part of our great parade.
A lot of fire engines.
Yeah, they're getting a little horny with us this afternoon.
Yeah.
Rick's has several units in it.
Yep.
Very patriotic display with a lot of flags. And we're getting more and more wind.
Rick's Auto Parts, again, three vehicles in the St. Mary's parade today.
It's a curious thing. The flatbed and the trailer are hauling heavily damaged Jeeps. There's probably a story behind every one of those.
At least, every one of them. You're right, Ray.
And I would guess that some of them started with, "Hey, Bubba, hold my beer."
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Certainly.
Well, watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the city manager is now within our presence, so that means I think we're coming close here.
He's probably got the radio, because that's how we figured out when the parade was going to start.
Right.
Yeah. And then he came over and made a bet with us.
We lost. We were absolutely obliviated, like some of the vehicles that are going by you right now.
You see a lot of strange things in a parade like this, but this has got to be right up there.
And that is, because he was just, the driver was just saying, "I don't know how I'm going to make the turn."
Yeah.
They're drumming up their own business.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 badly wrecked Jeeps on a flatbed.
And more Rick's Auto Parts, yeah.
That's what he does. I mean, they restore vehicles.
And I would say they win the award for most vehicles in this parade,
Well,
if you count the crashes too.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I was going to say with the wrecked Jeeps, they exceed the fire apparatus from Crystal Fire Department.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yep.
I think they'd have carded that gentleman in the pickup truck because he doesn't even look like he's 16. He's going to be here for the 200th, and he probably still won't qualify to drive that truck. I would definitely card him at Dino's.
Air Force. At least the Air Force banner, anyway, on this particular truck going by. Certainly a military.
And I think it is the Air Force because Colonel Tim Pearson here is giving him a big thumbs up, being a veteran. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize is Colonel Pearson spent a lot of time at the Pentagon doing organizational work.
Right.
Tim is back with us. He probably heard us talking here.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. I was trying to watch the last big float making that last turn on Depot Street, and everything's been looking great.
And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I see my brothers from Elkland Search and Rescue bringing up the rear of this parade.
So, officially, we are at 1:15. 1:15.
And until they get them all through, we're at...
Yeah. We will be at probably 2.5, close to 3 hours, as they'll get down to Depot Street. But we are at 1:15 here. And in front of us here in the
Wilcox. We can't forget about the Wilcox Volunteer Fire Department.
In front of us here in the City of St. Mary's building. We got to mention that too, along with the being Farmers National Bank.
And we thank, we still have the big birthday card behind us too for you folks to sign. And here is Assistant Chief Gary Malacarney driving the Elkland Search and Rescue. Hey! Driving our mobile unit. Our UTVs, my mentor, Chad Page on an ATV, not paying any attention to me whatsoever.
And clowns. Clowns and more clowns.
Elkland, not Elkland.
No, I don't mean them. And Elkland Search and Rescue. So one more vehicle, and the City of St. Mary's Police Department bringing up the rear.
I think that's Tom Nicholas. I think
he's bringing up the rear. That's correct.
Yeah, but he was also bringing up the front.
He did. He looped around.
Yeah.
As the boss turns it around, so we'll bring him on here too, probably just to position the camera.
And folks, this, if you haven't been down here, today is a historic day in the city of St. Mary's. We thank Mersen and Tim. Closing comments for our viewers. This has been fabulous.
Yeah, again, I think I just want to close again like I started with thanks. I just want to thank all the volunteers. Anybody that had anything to do with the Fall Fest this weekend or this parade, I think it's been phenomenal, and it's just a credit, as you've mentioned many times, to the community we live in, that we have that many volunteers that would come out, give them their time, talent, and resources to make something like this happen.
And it's not over yet.
Yeah, the day is still young.
They haven't even got around the corner. The parade is still ending, but this entire day, come out to St. Mary's, celebrate some impersonators down on the with the main stage tonight. Food, booze, tons of tremendous food. How can we forget about like our own Paf's Market's got the hot sausage sandwich down, folks, and the great businesses that you need to support, the vendors, Tim. It all works together.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the parade is over, but like you said, there's still the Fall Fest going on all weekend. You've got the amazing concert tonight. Again, if you haven't heard, Tim McGraw and Shania Twain, that's what I hear. That's the rumor. Come down here at 8 o'clock. It's going to be amazing. 98.9 has been talking all day that they're going to be at the sports game going on here in the next hour or so. You've got the band competition going on. I mean, there's just a lot going on in St. Mary's. I challenge you to go see it all.
A day to remember. Really enjoyed. Tim, thank you for your help and cooperation, letting us get set up and to be able to broadcast on radio, online, and on Channel 4.
Yeah, I really appreciate all 98.9's efforts because, again, you pushed this out to those people that couldn't be here with us today for whatever reason. I remember I talked to you, I'd watch things on the internet from down when I was in D.C. just to see the hometown stuff going on. So hopefully if you couldn't come down and see us, you were able to listen to us on the radio, see us on TV, or watch us on the web.
And just in case those may not be aware, once we conclude this broadcast, it'll be a couple of hours, but the entire parade video will be available on our YouTube channel beginning in a few hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And of course, we got to thank our Ray Bynum, local historian. Ray, we wouldn't be able to put this together as well as you do without you. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you for what you do for this community to help us to appreciate days like this by looking back where we've been and where we're going. Thank you. You've not only been a boss to me, you've been a great friend for a lot of years, and I appreciate that.
Well, very grateful for the opportunity to share some of the St. Mary's story. It would take weeks to tell all of it, but I'm very grateful for John and the whole gang here at 98.9 to give me this opportunity to tell some of these wonderful stories about our community, the wonderful things we've done over the years, give credit to some of the good people. It was a good experience. I very much appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And without our main sponsor, we have great sponsors. Mersen, they've been working with us since March. We got the banner out front for the folks in it, but we went down to see Nancy Paws. Nancy, we need a sponsor. Boom, done. Don't even worry about it. It's taken care of. And then we had a whole bunch of other sponsors, which are almost too numerous to mention, that have helped us put this together. And I would be like to say, Mr. John, you have been, again, such a tremendous force to bring this to the folks.
It makes me proud to be part of the River 98.9.
Well, thanks, and it's just been an enjoyable time. Tim and I have learned a lot of different new tricks that we can expand on in the future for future events, so it's been great. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. That'll conclude our 175th anniversary parade celebration here today in St. Mary's. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching on Zito Media Channel 4, online on our YouTube channel, and on the river, 98.9. Enjoy the Fall Fest.